PPI data is out for this morning, so if you are wanting to watch what we're going through throughout the day, come join us live today. Or if you're not watching live, make sure to tune into the last 15 minutes of the stream because we do go over every stock that we cover on this channel. Good morning, Frank. As we do show up this morning, we're just going to look at this data, but for now, just make sure that if you are not watching this live, know that we have courses down below. We have the Patreon down below if you want those weekly ranges, and we do a little stock breakdown at the end of this video. So join us for the last 15 minutes. But if you're here live, really appreciate you being here. Matthew and Frank, what up? Good morning. PPI actually came out at 0.6. You guys, that's a number that can really shake things up. 0.6, and then retail sales coming in at 0.6. That actually is a number that it really ticked up from the previous, but nothing that we didn't expect really, 0.8, 0.5. So PPI, though, looking like a pretty big jump. It doubled pretty much from the previous, so we have to pay attention to that. We'll take a look at some other stocks, too, and we're just noticing NVIDIA here on my screen for this morning. Actually, let me try to get this over to my other thing here. But we're going to do an overall look through. Let's see what the things are happening. Fully expecting new all-time high because I'm bearish. Yeah, that's kind of how it works out. But you have a good sign here. I mean, you have the potential for this to be a lower high at this point. We do see NVIDIA still rolling over. Want to see if this 30 minutes actually able to get into negative territory this morning. But that's something we're going to look at. 2 hour here. Still pay attention if this is able to curl up on NVIDIA. As we go through, we can see the SPY heading to higher levels. So that's interesting as NVIDIA is dropping off, Qs heading to higher levels. Very interesting as NVIDIA and AMD both heading to lower levels. Maybe AMD is going to set up... Oh my gosh, how do I have the hiccups? Maybe AMD is actually going to set up a nice little trade for us. We'll have to see what happens with that. Good morning, Rose. Welcome. So the Qs, nothing to worry about as of this morning. Not too much craziness out there. Apple making a slight move higher. We'll have to see what comes out of that. If this 2 hour is able to curl over, we could see that negativity come in. Amazon getting a little bit of a pop higher, but we'll have to see if it's actually going to break out of this consolidation or if it's going to dip down lower like we were talking about in last night's video. Tesla dipping down even lower at this point. Actually, when I last looked at this, it was at 164, I think. So it has bought back up just a tiny bit there. NVIDIA actually dropping off just a little bit in the morning here. I mean, I know it's still a 15-point drop, but it's just in the morning, so we have to pay attention. You're still above some moving averages. I'm pretty sure the 5 days right around here as well, so on the daily scale. AMD dropping to lower levels. This is one we'll keep our eye on for some kind of triple divergence on the 30-minute. If it starts to violate these divergences, we can see something more dramatic happen, right? We can break through that weekly. We gave you this for the stream today, this weekly expected move to the downside. Boom, we can see that rejection, but if we just come down into that area and just bounce, we could see that tiny little divergence here, get a little triple divergence that leads us into positive territory going into Friday. So good morning, Jorge. Good morning, Amin. Good morning, the Billionaire Mind. PPI data was hot, but core wasn't that hot. Let me double check, but from what I saw, core PPI coming in, oh yeah, you're right, 2%. So it was 2%, expected to pretty much be 2%. The previous was 2%. So this is telling you a lot of stuff here. And like we said, it's not necessarily what the data is, it's how people in the market are reading the data. And for some reason right now, they're saying no to AI, yes to things like Apple, and that's really all I can see. Let me look through Microsoft getting a good bounce. Google still staying up at this point. Netflix breaking out of this consolidation. So we'll have to see what happens moving forward throughout the day. But you are correct. The core PPI actually coming in at 2%. Jobless claims coming right in at the previous and a little bit higher than the forecast. 208K. We'll have to see to just really pay attention to how the market actually reacts. And then initial jobless claims 209 today, previous 210, 218. So initial jobless claims actually going down a little bit. So now we just have to see how the actual market is going to read into this data here. Buy the dip while you're long. Yeah. Buy the dippers might be coming in. I mean, NVIDIA, if the overall market is seeing positivity, it's interesting that NVIDIA is seeing a little bit of a sell-off, but we'll have to see what comes of that. We just want to pay attention to this 30-minute maybe this morning, maybe even a 15, because it's right next to that negative territory. So we just want to see. Now, this is still having the structure to go up. I want to be clear about that early on before we even see the start. We talked about this being the base up in here. We see that left, we see that head. This could come down like this to grab more liquidity. If it needs to grab more liquidity, well, this would be a pretty good spot to do it, right? Right down in this area would be pretty good. Kind of matches with our previous high. This area here, we can get some liquidity from there as well. But this is pretty good. So if we see some short dip into there and then start to head higher, that would make sense. Pay attention to this MACD if it actually rolls over and remains in negative territory, because if that thing curls right back up, we know that positivity is most likely coming. But thank you guys so much for joining me today. Make sure to come on in, like the stream for your guy here, and yeah, let's have some fun today. Just tell me your plays. Tell me what you think is going to happen for the day. PPI coming out a little bit hotter, so what do you guys think about that? One thing I was looking at before I hopped on, the VIX subtly coming down, but then we see this 30-minute divergence. Okay, so now the thing about this is we keep seeing this fade back down, but we do have that potential here for the VIX to get into positive territory. So I am going to really watch this and see if it's able to curl over this 2 hour. That would be huge. If this 2 hour curls up, that's going to be some bad news. But this is a good scenario in which if people do get bullish, the PPI came out at 0.6, you have to think how the Fed is going to read that data. And the Fed is most likely going to say, oh, we can't cut rates. We can't cut rates. We have PPI ticking up. We have CPI ticking, remaining higher. All those types of things can come into the Fed. Most likely they are not going to be cutting rates anytime soon. And we have to look into that because they tell us about that next Wednesday. Somewhere a congressman is becoming a multimillionaire while my contracts go worthless. You're short Tesla, long Nvidia, and Lulu and Meta. Well, your Tesla play, I mean, I don't know about the other ones as of right now, but your Tesla play, not looking too bad as of right now. I'd just be careful if this divergence like quickly forms in the morning. And you're long AMD, that's okay. And like here it's okay to be like, okay, I'm gonna go long AMD. It's not the worst decision in the world, I would say that. It makes sense. So I appreciate that. It's literally like this is flagging. We could see another move lower, maybe something like this. So then we can see, okay, maybe this comes down. Well, if that does happen, you'd be outside of that weekly expected move. We do land up here 68% of the time. Now, it hasn't come to that just yet. Maybe this is the overall big cup that it wants and it creates some kind of handle, or this could start to reverse from here, right? We could see that reverse, but we have to see what happens at market open. So it's going to be very interesting today. Now, this is also a thing to know about AMD is still, like I want to say it one more time, when we do break through these levels, we could use it as resistance. So we want to pay attention if this actually does come back in. If it pops out and then kind of hovers here for a bit, we could see another drop. So that's something to pay attention to going forward. But you do have structure here to possibly head higher, right? There's great liquidity in here. Microsoft did look pretty good. I see that upward move. Market going up pre-market, even with hot PPI. Makes total sense. Exactly, Manny. That's why in the video last night I was like, you might get the number that says we should head down. Oh, but then we actually see that market head up. We see it over and over. The market can read the news as goods, right? Someone came in and immediately said, well, PPI was 2%, is dead even. So the core PPI looking good, and that's what people can do. They can find a piece of data that's good and see some buying back in. But interesting to see the market going up while AMD and NVIDIA both starting out at lower levels, most likely to start our day. If you buy a call option, would you rather take the extra $100 or kick yourself? Depends on the trade. I've done that before where I've just got I tell people that sometimes. I'm like, yeah, if you just get a bad gut feeling, I would get out of the trade because like there's always going to be a different one. So you can always just like, especially if you're up $100, like, hey, take the $100, count it as a small win, and then look for the next trade that you're going to be more comfortable with. You think for Born to Win, good morning. Manny thinks that, hey, Philip, what's up? And then Manny, I think first hour we pump, then end of the day, then red end of day, end red by the day, and then end red by the day. I hope. Yeah, I think that's what you mean. Well, we're opening up here, so let's see if we are going to start out strong. I can tell you right now, the most popular stock out there, NVIDIA, AMD, those types of things, they're actually heading down right now. We talked about it making some kind of right shoulder. We just want to see if this thing actually goes negative, starts to break through this low. Because if you start to break through this low, you can start to say, okay, now we're in some kind of negative trend. We got to pay attention to that, but opening up today, the SPY opening up a little bit higher, Q's opening up a little bit higher, starting to see that fade, starting to see that fade on Apple, Amazon starting to see that fade, Tesla actually buying back up, so there you go, Tesla starting to buy back up, NVIDIA dropping lower, AMD dropping a little bit lower, but we have to see if it creates that triple divergence. I think the 15 does look pretty clean here. Meta getting a little pop higher, not able to break through this resistance at this point. Let's go through a bunch of them. Palo Alto actually making that move higher that we were talking about. We were talking about some signals down in this area that could lead to a pop. Look at that. Good solid move there. Microsoft popping higher as well, so that's something to pay attention to. Might be setting up a little 15-minute divergence for some consolidation here. That's something to watch. Google probably got a bunch of 15-minute divergences, honestly. Yep, that does. You got a bunch of 15-minute divergences. This is actually good that it's taking this back. You see it break through, retest, and then come back up. That's a good sign. We might just need more structure to actually head up. So just pay attention to this. It might just take some time to get a strong move. Netflix broke to the upside. We got to see if that wants to hold because you're breaking to the upside just a little bit. But you notice this 15-minute curling up in positive territory. That's where we can see positivity. I'd look at my number up here, 620.83. Sahan, say the economy is actually terrifying. It is. Stagflation would be a horrifying place to be. Any kind of inflation at this point besides deflation would actually be horrifying. Deflation would cause stocks and stuff like that to head lower. Most likely you're going recession for that deflation, but that's actually what you want because the market is very, very sick up at these levels. It's all debt at this point. I think like 80% of the market at this point is just debt. The NAS breaks 18,000. I'd be making back my loss from 2 days ago. Well, I'm rooting for you. You think it's a good opportunity, the NAS? Dak? The NASDAQ NDX. It could be. The thing is, this is still the same look, but like head and shoulders could be happening here. I know we just want to look at the actual values. 2 hour is still what I'd be paying attention to. It's still right at the center line. You want to really get that firm direction. You haven't really gotten that this morning. Even the Qs, right? We haven't fully gotten that direction this morning. You haven't broken through the bottom here. You haven't broken through the top here. So plenty of things to just be patient on. We could test one side of that daily expected move and then come back and test the other. Just clicking through a few of these, we just see this is the 2 hour divergence now you have on Tesla. Tesla does have the opportunity to pop here. It really does. It has that 2 hour divergence set up now. You can see this start to move higher. That 2 hour divergence a lot of the time does like to turn up the daily. Thing about the daily is you have a divergence there as well. So if we see continued strength, be careful around March 20th, right? We just have a few days till March 20th. So if we get a good reaction, look for that date to be a little rough because we just saw, PPI ticked up, CPI is still sitting higher, so that could be bad. Now, I just wanted to show NVIDIA on the daily scale real quick, just to show you guys where we're at right now. We're still above the 5-day. We haven't even lost it, okay? So don't think that this is some crazy, crazy selling at this point. 15-minute, we can see, hey, we dipped down to lower levels, now we're buying back up. So we still could see that strength in the end of day, even though the data's bad. That's why we pay attention to the reaction to the data. For my white name is Sam. What up, Sam? My white name is Lucas. Where are you? I'm in the Midwest. Baribors. Baribors. Yeah, Lucas. You can call me Lucas. It's fine. Uh, but we just want to see if it's grabbing liquidity to head higher or if it actually is turning around. So 15-minute might be good to watch today. Just see if that thing's able to curl back down. Because if we start to take out this low, actually, is mainly what I'd say. If we take out this low, most likely we're going to go negative pretty good. We can see that negative trend begin. You can start to see that big right shoulder, the little left one over here. So we could start to break down. I really think this has a potential to move higher. Maybe it heads higher all the way into the Fed rate decision, but we'll have to see. I wonder what data actually comes out tomorrow. No real data coming out, just the sentiment. Okay, so sentiment tomorrow coming out. Previous was 76.9, and we have it. It's supposed to come in like dead even with that. We'll have to pay attention to that. We just get exports, imports, and things like that in the morning, so we'll pay attention to those things. But not the most important piece of data. Today's data. And a couple days ago, that obviously that data a couple days ago is very, very important, but we'll have to see what happens. Right now, PPI month over month, 0.6, coming up by, Jesus, like it was supposed to come in at 0.3, previous 0.3, coming in at 0.6. That's kind of wild. Good morning, all. What up, Junior? Your Arab name would be Aluka. Aluka? Love nice, dark, gloomy weather. I wonder what the women. Why are stocks ripping? Not all of them are ripping, guys. And why are stocks ripping? Because people decided to buy them. PPI and CPI hotter. We are likely to not get a rate cut in June. I think we're not going to get a rate cut until something breaks. The tone of the Fed, I really think they're not going to, if they are announcing some kind of cut next week, which they have said they're not announcing the cut. They stay pretty consistent. I'll give them that. They're very vague and they don't give you any direction really, but they do stay pretty consistent. Once they do make a change, they stick to it for a bit. So they could be saying once again, this is going to be dependent on data. We don't see any. The data still looks pretty good. But the reason they would say the data looks pretty good when it obviously doesn't. You don't want tick ups in PPI, CPI staying higher. Sure, it looks better from where we started raising rates, but it doesn't look good for where we're at right now. And I think they know that. But if they raise rates again, these banks are all going to fail, man. Retail buying the whales. Well, the whales we can see, TLT actually dropping off pretty significantly from this. And that's what we got to pay attention to here. Look at that difference here between TLT and the actual market, right? Look at TLT. That thing is skyrocketing to the downside. That thing is just gapping down. This is why we were telling you guys, like TLT up in this area, you got to be careful because it's rejecting from there. This actually might have been a nice little trade. I should have looked into that because this is pretty good. But you're back below all the moving averages, back below the 200. So this thing can just keep going down. We could see these rates keep creeping up. We just got the buy signal about to cross over into positive territory. This thing can go higher. Maybe it wants to blow past 4.362. If this starts to happen and we see those banks fail, then we might see some kind of a quick cut from the Fed. If some banks start to fail really fast, we have to pay attention to that. But as of right now, they have told you over and over again they are going to cut sometime by end of year. And I would guess if they keep saying end of year, they most likely are not going to cut in June. NVIDIA's ripping. NVIDIA's still negative, man. But NVIDIA really want to pay attention to if there's upside. We want to see this 2 hour. This 2 hour is very important. Look at it. It's like very, very close to crossing, but it hasn't confirmed that upward momentum. So you really want that confirmation of the upward momentum here. 15-minute is really a good one maybe to watch for some structure. Really debating leaving the market for a few months, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, I know a lot of people who like take breaks. They literally take like month breaks. They say, I don't want to, my mental needs some work for a little while. Oh, Boeing? Mr. Boeing? Boeing's still dropping off. Looks like you got 15-minute divergence, so I want to see if there's anything else. 2 hour, no. 30-minute, no, nothing really down here to say there's some kind of bounce. Let's just look at this from the daily scale. Holy crap. Um, yeah, we were sitting at lower levels. Remember when we do get outside of these Bollinger Bands, what do? We like to slightly move sideways, so this could be tapering, but look for that reaction. It's at least going to test the 5. It may even come and fill some of these gaps by testing the 20, and then you have to see if that negative trend's going to keep going. The one thing I would say is you do have divergence at these levels, okay? So Boeing does have divergence at these levels. We've seen people buy at these levels. That's something you can pay attention to. We talked about this in the course. When you're looking for check marks to take a trade or something like that, if something is going the wrong way and you're about to make that emotional play where you're like, I think it's going to bounce. That's a pretty emotional play here. Daily divergence coming down into support. The only bad part about taking a bullish trade here is you're below the 200, so you know there's a risk there. So you just have to formulate your reasons for taking this trade, but I could see why someone would do it. I could see it. Makes sense why you would want to do it, but I can tell you that you could see some reaction up, but a lot of the time that pulls back down. Most likely I would just swing trade a 2-hour down. Oh god, Boeing with another emergency landing. It's like, oh, the market went up and Boeing crashed another plane or blew an engine or didn't keep up to their standards for their airplanes. It's just like, god damn. Every single day it feels like we're just going to see the market go up and Boeing have a problem. Rates are too high naturally. I can see them coming out and being a bit more dovish to bring them down to help banks. Yeah, they have to help the banks, and they understand that. That's why they even said it live when Jerome Powell was in Congress. He literally said, "Yeah, some banks will fail." He didn't say may fail. He was like, "Some banks will fail." Because these days it all is negative. That's all it is. It's just they happen to have so many things going wrong, and it's probably something to do with their business at the end of the day. If you have that many things go wrong, then usually it means, hey, something in the business ain't right. So interesting to see. Remember that CPC level was 1.16, and then we see Nvidia actually drop off. I think we should look at Max Payne, to be honest. Let's see what Nvidia looks like. Let's see if people got some calls on this bad boy. Yeah, you got a below a 1 on the put call ratio here. You do still have these call walls, 900, 950, 1000. Some puts coming in over here, but not as many puts coming in as calls right now. Now, this is still a healthy call ratio, right? 0.85 is still healthy. Usually anything below, like, I would say you start to be like, it's a little cally after it's below 0.8. And then below 0.7, you say, okay, that's too many calls. So we're not in a crazy put call ratio for NVIDIA right now. Found dead during court case. Suicide, probably. Oil's breaking high. More inflation to come. Yeah, I actually paid attention when I was driving through my city here, just looking at the same gas station whenever I drive by it. It's gone up from like, this is just what it's at where I'm at. I think it went up from 2.279, then it went to 299. Now it's sitting at 319. So that's something to pay. It's just ticking up and up and up. But knowing our Fed, it's like we don't pay attention. No, gas prices don't matter. Food prices don't matter. As long as the inflation that the big boys are feeling is getting fixed and everyone else is screwed, then new hat, then it's okay. New hat today. No, I've had this hat for a while. I got this vacationing in North Carolina. Or wait, no. This hat's not from North Carolina. This hat's from Maine. I'm crazy. I thought it was from North Carolina for a sec. This hat's from Maine. I still have family in Maine. I just haven't seen them since I was this big. I really haven't. I don't think I've seen them in like 20 years or something, maybe more. Sam's in Maine. His name's not Sahand anymore. It's Sam. And my name is Aluka. Something like that. Glad we're enjoying ourselves. High yield growth as well is something we can pay attention to for what the big boys are doing. Look at that, it sells off. So your high yield growth is your smart money for the most part. Seeing that start to back off at this point. So we got to pay attention to that. We could look at TLT, see if it's approaching that bottom side of the weekly expected move here, because it might be. Below $94, so pretty much everywhere below here. Oh, this is actually good. Okay, so we can learn from this just a tiny bit here, from this movement on TLT. When it wants to blow past a resistance, right? There's resistance here at just below 94. You can see this resistance here. It's with the gap fill, or sorry, support. You can see the support across the way here with this gap here. So what is TLT? It actually gaps below it to start the day, and then that way it doesn't have to deal with that support. It can just keep going. But you can't point them out on a map. I will tell you this: if you knew me personally, you would be baffled how bad I am at geography. I have no like the 50 states quiz in school. No idea. No idea. Vic, starting this 30 minutes, starting to possibly get into positive territory. So, not the best sign for bulls actually early on in the day. See if the SPY wants to roll around here. The interesting part, Nvidia actually dipping to those lower levels. So now we have that crossing of the MACD. We have to see if it can break down. But like I said, it's sitting right at that 5-day moving average. So we really want to see if it can hold up at this level. If it starts to lose this, you have the chance to go to the 20, a little bit lower. So we want to see if it breaks through this wick here. Geography, not my strong suit here. All right. And actually, maybe even an hourly would make things a little easier for me. If this thing goes into negative territory, I can really say, because it's crossing right now, so you would like that crossing not to be there by the end of the hour. You can see if we lose this 50 on the hourly, well, we could drop a lot lower, guys. So 778 to the downside could be where we end up eventually over the next few days if we want to sell off from here. So we could see it like this. Maybe we bounce up with the Fed, then we see that ripped away. At this point, this is very, very selly right now. Keeps breaking through. So this is where you kind of have to hold up if you're... Oh my gosh, it's just still going. Something interesting is AMD not selling off as hard. Now I know it stayed at lower levels, so Nvidia has the ability to correct a little bit more. But AMD actually holding up at those higher price points, so that's interesting. And we have Nvidia now about to test this low first thing in the morning, so that is pretty crazy. I think for tomorrow, we're going to have to put up those daily expected moves. So tune in for tonight's YouTube video because we are going to give you the daily expected moves for every stock. And then I think after this week, we are just going to put that out on Patreon for every Friday. Got out my SPY shorts too early, missed on the damn move. Okay. And yeah, you want to see if that direction's coming. I would just say, get out of your shorts if we come above this high. Now we're starting to break down. We actually can see this, kind of escalate, kind of like my 30-minute here a little bit better. But let's see. This could still be just dipping down. Remember, our daily expected move is right below us. So if we're going to see something crazy happen, we have to break through some key levels. That's why I have NVIDIA up, and we're starting to break that low. So this would tell you, hey, good chance we go into a negative trend here. But remember, NVIDIA does like to fake people out a lot of the time. It gets these dips down. So I'd wait for this closing bar to really solidify, hey, I'm going down to test this level down here. Because if we wick out now, it's still okay. But this is a selling bar. We're down a little bit here. We'll end up who knows where. Yeah, we experienced that plenty. I gotta run the GPS, AMD trying to get that positive move higher, coming back down. Look for this little 30-minute divergence. This tiny little 30-minute divergence could work out for you. We'll have to see, though, because this is a pretty good selly day here. We're in that negative trend, so you got to be a little bit weary, a little bit quick to move. Maybe looking to trade like water for most of the day. This here, complete the handle. Weren't able to break higher. Now we cup in here, see if we get a small handle, start to head higher for meta. Really just waiting for, the top side or the bottom side to break at this point for some direction here. God must be by my side today. Good. I'm glad. Okay, so now you could also add into this, if it didn't have sufficient liquidity to move higher with this smaller head and shoulders, if it does want to hold up at higher levels, create some kind of right shoulder going into next week, that would make some sense here. But as we dip lower and lower, we'll have to see if that's actually going to happen because we're starting to see things dive down pretty quick. You're right. Now the SPY coming really close to its daily expected move first thing in the morning. So we do mostly. Where did we end the day yesterday? Because this doesn't seem correct. These daily expected moves don't seem correct. Hold on. Close 516.75. Yeah, this daily expected move is way too short. I'm sorry about that, guys. This doesn't seem right. Let me go double check this on my things here. Because if this is the closing bar from yesterday, I wonder if my chart was just off or something when I made the ranges. Let's look at this close. Close 515.99. Okay. 511.49. A couple points lower. That's my bad. I must have just like mistyped or something. I really should double check that before I do things. A little bit lower, okay? So we do have a little bit lower actually here. I knew something looked off with that. This one looks good. So the Q is perfectly fine. It's just the SPY one was really, really, really wonky. I could tell right away. I was like, something doesn't seem right here. SQQQ looking good. Yeah, and these are the types of things we want to look for in the morning right now with that direction that's being chosen is down. So we have the potential to head a little bit lower. We still have some stocks holding up at higher levels like Amazon. Apple, that move might be fading at this point. Tesla's still heading down at this point. Watch out for that weekly expected move for Tesla. I want to go check on that too. We're almost there. The market expected us to come down to these levels. We're almost there. Let's see what people are in the morning here. Some puts being added into the market as of right now. This 30-minute has not gotten into negative territory just yet. Now, if you're someone who just likes to take little trades and stuff like that, sure, this broke. You can make that new low. You can see how far that could go. Just be careful. We may just be dipping even lower to grab liquidity, right? So we have to pay attention to that. Now, what I would say is this 2-hour is rejecting. It is not a good sign. You have the sell signal. So if this actually holds, you're pretty confident in saying, hey, at some point, this is going to most likely go into a negative trend because it just rejected, unless it wants to come down like this and you see that curl back up in positive territory. Then you can get something a little bit more extended. Maybe it does want to go higher. But at this point, you'd say, hey, sell signal, losing some moving averages on the 2-hour, rejected. Not the best look in the world as of right now. But I would just watch this 30 minutes, see if it actually goes negative. IWM gives me bad vibes there. Yeah, billionaire mind. I'm buying the dip. He's like, I'm buying the dip, and he has a billionaire mind, I believe. What happened with the PPI data? It actually came out hot. So PPI was supposed to come in at 0.3, came in at 0.6. Retail sales was supposed to come in at like, what was it, point something. Retail sales was also supposed to come in at point 0.8 or like somewhere between point 0.8 and point 0.5. Came in at 0.6. So a little bit confusing because there was consensus on this was much higher than forecast. That's strange. But 0.6, so maybe not the biggest surprise there. People could read into that as good news. And then some people in the chat were talking about core PPI year over year came in right at 2%. So we still could see some people take this as bullish by end of day. But right now, that direction that we're seeing is to the downside for right now. So we just want to see if anything forms. Maybe we needed to go grab some more liquidity in NVIDIA or something like that. It was just interesting to see the actual market up while NVIDIA down for a little bit. We'll have to see what happens going forward. Q's looking pretty downward, right? We're crossing down into negative territory. Just this market has faked us out so many times, we don't know. Maybe the first direction was the wrong one for the Qs, right? Up was wrong, down is right for now. We'll see if that wants to reverse back up. Nothing really telling me it should reverse. If anything, it's telling me broke through the low in negative territory, new low coming. Want to pay attention to this one, though. AMD as well, coming down into its weekly expected move. Look at that. Coming into the weekly expected move, we can see some kind of bounce here. Look at this right in here. We can see this price action getting pretty tight. So we'll have to see if a big move is coming for AMD by end of day. But if we start to break through this level, that's where you want to be a little bit more cautious. You want to be like, okay, yeah, we broke through this level. Yeah, we're creating divergence, but I just got to keep in mind that we do have that opportunity to keep going if I reject this level. So if you start to break down, you buy back up through it, maybe cross above this level here, you can be a little bit more confident in AMD. But for right now, looking very weak, just curling over into negative territory. Selling comes in, curling over into negative territory. Let's see if that selling can come in. NVIDIA seeing some wicking here. We'll have to see if that's sustained. MACD crossed on the 4-hour for NVIDIA. Crossed a little bit ago for NVIDIA. We actually got rejection of the crossing here, which means, at this point, no new high. That's what that would mean at this point. No crossing of the MACD there. So 4-hour telling you like, hey, this thing's not going higher. We have a lot of time for that bar, though. VIX moving up. Yeah, we were telling you guys about this was a good little hint right before it happened. The 30-minute divergence is here. We can curl up the 2-hour with this. It's moving very, very quickly up, though. Very quickly up. So that's something you could pay attention to. Maybe pay attention to the higher time frames, 30. I would look for this 2-hour to really cross up. That would be a sign that volatility is full-fledged back in. You just want to hope that that's not some kind of retest and it fades back down, because a lot of the time we do need some kind of 2-hour divergence to see pops in volatility. If you just look back a tiny bit, 2-hour divergence, 2-hour divergence, pop of volatility, boom. Over this way, even you can see like here, you probably have like a 4-hour divergence or a 1-hour divergence. You almost have it on the 2-hour. So there's a lot of points to pay attention to it. And mainly I pay attention to the VIX once I see the momentum kind of dying out a tiny bit. Because that means the momentum to the call side might be dying out. The fear is sucked out, so the good feeling might be sucked out, might be on about to change trend. The TLT dropping off pretty hard, so it makes total sense if the market wants to pull back from here. That's a very, very interesting thing happening. Tesla forming 1-hour and 2-hour divergences, yes. So Tesla actually, you can see the 2-hour divergence pretty well. Boom, right there. It's pretty good. The only thing I would say is look at the RSI. It's not at the same time, okay? It's starting to dip lower. So once you see that dip lower in the RSI, you have to read a little less into this. Sure, you can see that reaction, but you have to treat that reaction as some kind of pullback at this point. So, or some kind of bounce in this scenario, right? So if we see that it gets into positive territory, that's when you just want to shift over to a daily, see if that's actually able to curl up and get into positive territory. But for now, dip into lower prices. If you're part of the Patreon, which is down in the description, you can go look at those weekly expected moves. It's almost there. Nvidia still seeing some weakness here. We'll have to see if it wants to set up some structure, but for now, this is a pretty good selling, right? This is pretty vertical, so that's a little worrisome at this point. Now, I would say this: if I extend this thing out, we'll notice that kind of move here. We're still not breaking through that key level. Yeah, not a lot to formulate here, guys. This could just be dipping lower, though, so we want to see if this can head up by going like this. If this is going to go down, we're probably going to see it go down pretty quickly down into positive or negative territory this morning. 8.05. 12.26, 9. So normally, once the bear market gets here, I switch my moving average to a 9-day moving average. If we start to see like dramatic selling, see the VIX get pretty high, see volatility increase, I switch it over to a 9-day moving average. So, Connie, I hope you saw that as well, and we go over that in the course as well. So, if you guys do take the course, we go over the MACD and show you guys the values that we use for the measurements there. Amazon 2-hour divergence. Let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at the Amazon 2-hour divergence up here. I don't. I don't necessarily see it there. Let's try an hourly here. Well, that's going to exceed the high. I don't really see that divergence here. I mean, if you want to take the divergence from this point, but that'd be kind of weird because you have a bunch of highs in between. If it wanted to turn from like where it's at right now, I understand what you're saying. A little flatness of the MACD up here, but you have to think, this came all the way up to here. It's pretty flat already. But it signals, this is an area where we expect some of that to come in. Maybe we dip lower first to go higher, but this could roll over. It's right next to negative territory, so totally understand your thinking there. We haven't lost anything yet, really. The main one we're looking at, Nvidia here, just seeing a pretty good drop. But we saw this drop yesterday. I think someone did some research. It was like, normally it only moves 13 points, so if it moves more than 13 points, there's this guy that just, if it moves more than 13 points down, he takes calls, and it's been working for him. I thought that was pretty funny. And Billionaire Mind says, don't worry, it'll bounce. Why do I read that like you're like, don't worry, man, it'll bounce. We'll have to see. We got a bunch of calls. We got an hour. We got a 1,000 put or call wall here. And we got a 900 call wall. So if this is some kind of fake out, we'll see. Robert, thank you so much for joining the stream. Thank you so much for subscribing. You are awesome. Make sure to like so more people like Robert can come in here. Appreciate you being here, Robert. Hope your trading is going well for the day. I made the good stuff today. The good coffee today. That farmer's market coffee, you know what I'm saying? Now, as far as this goes, from at least my trading perspective, I still don't feel like I have a good direction. Like, I don't, even with that data, I'm like, that could break down and it would make sense, but this market turns up and it makes sense. So I'm just trying to see if this really goes actually negative, maybe starts to see more selling, because sure, this is pretty good selling here, but you want that to continue for some time, right? We want that to continue to break through some levels, see some strong selling for multiple hours would be very, very good. Yeah, Bitcoin, we can take a look at it real quick. You don't really want to do 30-minute stuff on Bitcoin, in my opinion. I think like the shortest time frame I look at is 4 hour. And I believe 4 hour might have been creating something up here. It might be 8 hour, but 4 hour up here, we can see these divergences across the board. Yeah, this is what I was looking at last night. I see divergences across the board on the 4 hour, This isn't to say Bitcoin can't keep going parabolic. It can keep doing these small pullbacks and keep going. I would just say with this divergence up here, this is a good time. Hey, maybe I take some profit at this level, because if something bad happens and you have divergences like this, getting you closer to that negative territory, you have the opportunity for a sudden drop with this big of a move. So that's something to pay attention to, but you do have 4-hour divergences across the board, like a triple divergence at this point. Take a look over at the SPY, see what's going on there. Well, we're getting a little bit of support at our trend line at this point. So we're getting a little bit of support there. We'll have to see if that's sustained. The Qs, like I said, if it needs more liquidity to go higher, it's going to go grab it from somewhere. It could be grabbing it right here. Now we do have some structure to pay attention to, because we're coming up into an important point. Let's just use the wick that was just created. Kind of exclude these little these wicks here, but include that one. We can see there is like a little bit of a trend here. So you're coming up into the bottom. The only thing I would say about this one is you kind of got boom, boom, and now boom. So you could see this actually break through. So really pay attention if this starts to break. Maybe heading towards that daily expected move, we could see something like this, and then drop to lower levels tomorrow. IWM. This actually had some good strength up in this area. I wonder if there's a 2-hour. There's probably a 2-hour here for sure. Yeah, there's your 2 hours. So IWM, this would have been a great trade right here. And then you know you're going to get support from down in these levels. So once you take this 2-hour, you can say, okay, maybe I just want to sell out, take a little bit of a trade here, because the daily, and then you can say to yourself, oh, well, if the daily rolls over as well, then I'm pretty confident in this. So now you can take a little bit longer position if you want, and longer as in more time, not go long, because I don't go long on stocks that cross on this MACD, guys. So bet your ass I'm not going long right here, and boom, it breaks down. So you do have that divergence on IWM confirming as of yesterday. Confirming as of yesterday. So something bad is down the pipeline coming at us very soon. And you can just see how much the fight is as of this morning, as NVIDIA is still sitting pretty much right on that 5-day moving average, deciding which way it actually wants to go. Yeah, Bitcoin looking like momentum's dying out, just needs some bad news or something like that. Now, NVIDIA does have that conference I think someone keeps bringing up, and we could see a buy the rumor, sell the news type thing. So if people know that conference was good last time, they could actually buy into it before. That would be one thing that could keep NVIDIA bullish. But at this point, you have to say, hey, we're very close to rolling over, going negative at this point. So you need to see some strength out of NVIDIA over the next, I'd say, couple hours. Really interesting to see what the VIX does, kind of topping out a little bit there. 2-hour, just see if this is able to curl up. Sometimes maybe we'll see some kind of rejection here as we are starting to wick out, but if this starts to cross up, it's really starting to add up like, hey, we're probably going to see some volatile moves going forward, which makes total sense. Look at that 10-year just moving at this point. SPY on the 2-hour. If this bar confirms, you are confirming the next point of divergence. So if you think the SPY's going higher today, you really need this thing to buy back up, because you got a bunch of divergence up here, and look how close you are to getting negative at this point. So could see a little bit of a move lower in the SPY soon. If that remains confirmed, I'd be pretty convinced. If we want to create this little trend here to see if it reacts down and we get one more push higher to test that top side of the weekly, that would be interesting. So we'll have to see if that's actually going to happen. Most likely, if you want NVIDIA and the Qs to head higher at this point, or if you want the SPY and the Qs to head higher at this point, you probably want to see some strength out of NVIDIA. So this is going to be very important for a couple hours here. This might be what we mainly keep our eye on this morning. People got quiet all of a sudden. No, there's something crazy happening that everyone's watching right now. What's crazy? Doge up 6.83%, guys. We did it. Going down 5%. That's interesting, as Bitcoin's still holding at the highs. Coin actually coming down a pretty good chunk there. We can see how Cathie Wood's doing for a little bit. I mean, this is just some wonky price action. Yeah, well, you had the consolidation here. You broke to the downside. If you guys can see it without me even drawing a triangle here, and broke to the downside as of right now. So we'll have to see if that comes to anything. This on the daily's gotta look like it's curling over. Yeah, okay, so that's curling over. You could go negative from here, but we want to see what happens by end of day. Oh wait, that was US oil. Oil is up, yeah. Alright. We're gonna go back into a 30, just check in on NVIDIA. Very, very important for the next few minutes here. For the next couple hours, I would say NVIDIA is pretty important. Watching The Spy, reading CNBC. Those 230x puts played out nice, took profits and exited, closed my strangle out for the day. First 30 minutes for profit this morning, but made more than my monthly paycheck worth it. Nice job. I know, Kunik. I just saw that. Review. What a play. What a play. I still just keep reading this thing here. I'm like, I want to get bearish on NVIDIA, but Billionaire Mind keeps typing, don't worry, it will bounce. And just the structure to bounce, right? We want to go over this a few times here just so it's ingrained in us, right? Left. Maybe this is some kind of head. We actually need to go make a right shoulder over here. And we see the structure going up. We could see this type of thing happen. That would make sense, and that would launch us probably up to this high up here. Let's see what AMD's doing. Okay, from the lows here, now you would have this triple divergence on AMD. Good sign that we're actually going to see some strength. Maybe going into tomorrow, that would be interesting. Not many people today, I would assume, are thinking like, oh, the market's going to go up from here. That would be interesting. Now, you do have that potential for something crazy to happen with AMD, but as of right now, that 30-minute could curl up this 2-hour, and we could see some positivity for a few days here. So we want to see end of day, see if this thing's starting to go like this. We can start to take back these moving averages, maybe even fill this gap. You know, you can see cup, get that handle. That would also give you a little bit of a head and shoulders in here. We could head a little bit higher. You know, how high would that take us? Well, let's just see from this to here. Yeah, we could come test the high, 211.84. So come test the highs up here, maybe the closing bars. Yeah, so for the rest of March, it's $100. I believe we are going into a bear market by end of March, and it gives a bear market strategy. So it's going to go up to 200. That's as high as I'm going to raise it, though, guys. I want it to be affordable. I believe everyone should have the opportunity to learn, and I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, it's probably worth a good chunk of money, to be honest. It's very, very good, very efficient, but I would say I'm not going to sit and make it $2,000 and then say it's 80% off. I'm just going to tell you, hey, it's $100 this month. By the end of the month, it's going to go up to $200. God, we are still not losing anything on NVIDIA, really. We saw that dip below this low. You could say, hey, now that it's below this low, if it goes negative, that'd be really bad. But look at that. We're starting to buy back up. So, like I said, the next, hour and a half, 2 hours really matters for NVIDIA and AMD. AMD is starting to test that bottom side. Sweet, I'll get it next weekend. Awesome, Connie. Appreciate it. Make sure if you have any questions, send me an email. I mention it in the videos constantly, how you can email me, and I give my email plenty of times. So if you do have questions related to the course, I've had Frank come in. I think Frank might be here this morning. Frank came in, and he's been asking some good questions, so I appreciate anyone who's just willing to learn, and I'm more than happy to help as much as I can. Look at Amazon. Yeah, Amazon actually turning up. Dang, Amazon breaking to the upside. You know, it's funny. It faked us out, and then it faked us out with the fake out. It said, yeah, this is a fake out. Just kidding, it's not. Boom. Oh god. So this thing already crossed on the 2 hour, so now we can see that positivity. That's why I didn't read much into this divergence. It was kind of messy. I don't even really see it. So now that we're turning up, you can see that positivity. Maybe we actually go make that next point. So if I'm long Amazon, I'm paying attention to the top side of my weekly expected moves right now. Boom. So now I immediately go look at my Amazon weekly expected move. Now I know exactly where I'm going to push the sell button if I'm long on this. Frank took the course and recommends it 100%. Awesome. I'd bought the course if it taught how to figure out the daily ranges. And yeah, there's ways. It's just you literally can probably go look up the equation online and you can figure out how to do it. You're a smart guy, Matt. You can do it. The overall reason that I like to do it with the Patreon and give out those ranges is because some people calculate it a little bit differently. But if you take the course and you still want to know how to make those ranges, I'll send you the equation. Like I'll literally send it to you. I do not care. I give you a good way to get the ranges. Frank can attest to that. It's a good method to get these ranges. It's very, very easy. All you have to do is use Robinhood. It's very simple, but it will be a little less accurate. I'm always off. Yours are pretty spot on. Yeah, like I said, some people calculate, like, even if you get the equation, some people calculate it like with different implied volatility, with different this and that. Sometimes they just get the math wrong. What price point do I use? So there's a bunch of little things that can make it go wrong. And I just know that because I literally tried to make ranges for like a month and I couldn't figure it out. And then once I did, I like wrote it down. I was like, oh, so this is exactly how I do it. Just start a funded trading challenge, but I can't do stocks like I normally would. What's good to trade? What's probably good to trade right now? I mean, if you're really good, you could trade AMD and Nvidia back and forth because those move pretty significantly. I really like to trade the Amazons, the Metas, AMD. I do trade a little bit, but overall, I like my Amazon. I like my Meta right now. Like Meta, you see these wonky moves on like a 2-hour. You can literally just like go into a 30-minute because its price fluctuation is pretty good. Every time it crosses in a positive, you know it's a positive trend. Boom. It is very, very simple in a bullish market to trade like this. Apple still up 1.25. Nvidia, are we sustaining that bounce? It's just a little bit of a bounce. Nothing too crazy at this point. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, and I still look at some other YouTubers use weekly ranges and things like that. So I like to see what their levels are. And if I'm very confident in mine, which I can tell you guys every single day, I'm pretty confident in mine. But yeah, I just noticed that all of ours end up being different. So you can see how people use different calculations. They use different values. So that's why I overall, do it on the Patreon as well. Just because, one, it saves you some time. You don't have to sit there and do the math for a little while. I already kind of have it set up. And then two, you also get some ideas around those ranges. You don't have to be like, oh, I don't know if I made the correct calculation. I've back tested it and stuff too. I've used it for so long. I know it's good. Uh-oh. Oh God, Amazon fake to the upside, fake to the downside now. Oh, that's not even coming down. That's barely coming down. You zero DTE people, I tell ya. Amazon's tanking. It's down like 1 point. This could be a fake out. No, it could. It still could. Because, like, usually your fake outs come a little bit more dramatic. You don't see. Usually your fake out's a little bit more dramatic than this. Usually it's like, oh, we're going to the moon. We broke this high. And then it breaks down. That's more of what I see. Go retest 187. We check Tesla for you. SPY, you need SPY to tank. Well, you're starting to get that support from this trend here. If you want to break down, I mean, there's structure here, right? Form the cup, get the handle. You can head lower, then you make the big cup, get the handle, head lower. So there's structure to head down. You just want to be careful because if this curls back up, you're going to see positivity. It's not going to go well for you. Tesla, as far as getting to 187, the interesting thing about Tesla is if it sees that bounce here, that 2-hour divergence. Now, you don't have it on the RSI at the same time, so if you do see a significant bounce here, I would be pretty quick to be a little bit take profit, is what I would say. Now, you can curl up that daily divergence. If that daily divergence curls up, you might be able to hold it a little longer. I would be careful going into March 20th because we got the Fed rate decision. We could see some crazy stuff happen around that. Now, let's wait for NVIDIA just for a little bit here. Robert's laughing. He's like, God, he's so right. 0 DTE guy. Moves 2 points, makes $5,000, gets out. Sick. All right, well, I'll leave the queues up for a moment. I'm just going to use the restroom real quick, say hi to the gals, because they got appointments today and stuff. So I'll be right back in just a moment. Maybe I'll even pull up Bloomberg for you guys real quick. You don't need data anymore. See if they're talking about anything interesting. See what they're talking about this morning. Nothing really. We'll give you guys the light, funky tunes for a second. All right, guys, I'll be right back in about 2 to 5 minutes. 2 minutes, probably. Pretty quick.
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day on Bloomberg Radio, Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm John Tucker in the Bloomberg Newsroom with this Bloomberg Business Flash. You have stocks lower, yields are higher. We had evidence inflation remains elevated. Prices paid to producers rising in February by the most in 6 months. And the Fed swap showed traders now pushing rate cuts from the Fed to July from June. Some of the stocks on the move today. Dollar General higher after issuing a better than expected annual forecast for comp sales. Under Armour shares, they are sinking right now. The ticker UAA down 12.5%. The company announced, among other things, the return of Kevin Plank as the chief executive officer. And then you have shares of Oracle right now. They are up 1%. On the move after Argus Research upgraded this software company from hold to buy. S&P 500 down just about 12 points, down 0.25%, 51.52 on the index. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, 104 points lower, that's down 0.25%. And the Nasdaq 100, 31 points lower, that is down 0.2%. And as Alex pointed out, the real move in the bond market, the 2-year up 4 basis points at 467 after that data this morning. And then the benchmark, the 10-year, 8 basis points higher right now. That's at 427. And we check the markets for you all day long right here on Bloomberg Radio. I'm John Tucker, and that is your Bloomberg Business Flash. Alex and Jen.
Thank you so much, John Tucker. So one stock to watch is U.S. Steel. It's down another
All right, guys, what happened?
Today.
What happened? Did I miss
Biden
it?
says that U.S. Steel should stay an American-owned and operated company.
And it's kind of quiet.
Steel over in Japan is trying to buy the company. J.P. Morgan now saying that it is possible that Cleveland-Cliffs could rebid for U.S. Steel. So it's a lot. It's a lot happening. At the end of the day,
it's a lot. Here. That's funny. Jay Bizzle. JB, what up? Oh, God, I got you guys. You know you like to see me. Oh, hey. Want to trade some stocks? Okay. Apple. Good move from Apple. Doing exactly what it needs to do. This is pretty sick. I mean, it's consolidating. We see that big cup form here. Good strength. See if this breaks. We could head to the top side here. This is what we talked about yesterday. Amazon's still seeing pretty strong, curling up in positive territory. About to be overbought, so maybe we get another little push, get a little consolidation or something like that. Maybe something like that too. Tesla still wanting to drop lower. Be very careful with Tesla. Nvidia holding where it's at. It is holding where it's at, not going negative. Negative. AMD actually starting to really start to form this divergence down here. I might have to take a picture of this just in case. Boom. Boom. Take a little pic here. Screenshot taken. You've just taken a screenshot. You always got to notify our Patreon people when we see something pretty cool. AMD looking pretty cool this morning. We've been talking about it. So let's send some Patreon people some stuff here. Good time to join the Patreon, guys. Good time to join it. We're getting a lot of trade setups lately. Well, this is the main trade setup we were paying attention to. I actually posted something about the Qs yesterday on Patreon, and I noticed it didn't post, and then the Qs bounced. And I was like, damn it, why didn't it freaking post? So lame. Oh, quiet, Mr. Tobes. Fine. Boys. It's on. It's fine. Give me 2 seconds here. All right, let's just say it that way. You have the potential for AMD to get a reaction from this level. That is the overall way you should think about this at this point. If it wants to confirm that divergence, get positive territory, you can start to get a little bit more bullish. But at this point, just be careful. I mean, we have flag gone down, flag gone down. If we flag right by a support here, we could gap below it. So that's something to pay attention to. But you do have these divergences down here. So pretty good looking stuff. The SPY still not breaking down too far. Q's holding up at this little trend here that we just created. Obviously, we just created that, so don't think that I'm some magician or something like that creating these lines. IWM starting to break down, but we could see that support from this important zone again. And baby girl's about to go to grandma's house. Now up here, this would be very interesting as well. If we get this push higher, we'd probably see some kind of hourly divergence, maybe a short one. So pay attention to that. But Apple's going to be very simple. It's below its 200 on this scale here. So if we just see this come up and then roll back down into negative, that's what we were talking about at the beginning of that Sunday's video. If it rolls up to here, look for that to curl back down into negative, and then really start to form a base down here to get that divergence. She's crying so hard. Morning, Alan. Google has been solid. Hey, on Google, we were overall saying 140.97 was where we think some resistance would come in. Nope. 143.78 today. Strong move. Sorry, baby girl's crying, so I gotta mute a little bit. Hell yeah. Remember to take those profits, guys. We can see some wonky price action. We can see this keep going, but on Amazon, but it is breaking to the upside. We can get consolidation and things like that. So do have a shortened expiration or something like that. Just make sure to be aware. Make sure you're trading like water out there. Jesus. I got divergence. It's in a negative trend over here. Plenty of room on the 2 hour to go higher. We could make that new high that I was talking about. Keys are positive again. Sound is actually one that I mentioned like last week. This thing, I heard it got a huge push this week. This was one I was mentioning. You could just almost swing trade it. Someone brought it up and I was like, yeah, sounds pretty good because you can just swing trade that bad boy. If this wants to cross up, you got a closing bar here above the 5. Look at that. Boom, we come up into this area. You do have that divergence up here forming. Resistance coming in, reconnection with the 5, reconnection with the 20 likely here before we head higher. You could see a bigger pullback too if this is really ripped away, but my dad mentioned it to me down here. I think he bought down at that $2 mark, so he's doing pretty good. Ari's going to grandma's. For some reason, she's a little saint or she's a little angel at grandma's. Probably just because grandma's not stressed out at all and just like, oh, you can cry. I'm like, my ears. Trading probably so easy for you. You know, I have my moments where it gets difficult, guys. It's not like every I'm not perfect by any means, right? I thought we'd actually head higher today. By end of day, we'll see if that happens. But as of right now, direction on NVIDIA saying lower. Jesus, I'll give this a sec.
Starship rocket on its third major test flight. They're hoping to improve past attempts that also ended prematurely in explosions. And it looks like now
this is about SpaceX loses Starship during re-entry.
Oh, she just said it. Short. We will bring you any headlines as they cross and update you on the story. Let's go to Michael Barr with World and National News.
Thank you very much, Alex, Jen, and John. And as you just mentioned, and that SpaceX, they're cutting it short now because they lost the Starship. Now, they launched it. It looked successful.
Why do I want this guy to read me a book?
After 2 past attempts ended prematurely in explosions.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The spacecraft stacked atop its super heavy booster lifted off about 2 hours ago from SpaceX's Starbase launch site in Boca Chica, Texas. The Starship is the biggest and most powerful rocket ever built. We get more from Bloomberg.
I thought we were going to see it explode, dang it.
Starship can carry more stuff.
I got excited.
They can build out the Starlink constellation more quickly. That generates higher degrees of revenue. It gets them to more sort of solid ground on cash flow break even, and that funds the bigger picture goal for Starship, which is to carry humans to Mars in the long term, but in the short term to the moon in the first instance.
Bloomberg's Ed Ludlow. The head of NATO says member countries must boost their military aid to Ukraine as Kyiv's forces struggle to hold the line against a fresh Russian advance. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg in Brussels today says Ukrainians are not running out of courage, they're running out of ammunition.
Together, we have the capacity to provide
I'm pretending it's my voice.
What it needs. Now we need to show the political will to do so.
Donald Trump is at a federal courthouse in Florida. The judge will hear arguments on whether to dismiss the criminal case accusing the former president of hoarding classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate. Global news 24 hours a day and whenever you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Michael Barr, and this is Bloomberg.
Be right back. All right, guys. It's like Baghdad over here. Anyway, she's going to grandma's, and they're going to the doctor. So she's been having some pretty bad gas problems. So if you notice, she's crying a lot more than usual the past couple days. And we're like, hey, that could just be colic, but we're gonna go check just to make sure, because she's been very gassy, very gurgly, very like Like whenever she wakes up, it's just crying. Advanced decline numbers, I don't really pay attention to that too much. I say it in the course. I think if you remember, Miss Ives, I'll get to your thing here in a sec. GTC, yeah. What's she eating? She's only eating breast milk. She's still 6. She's only 6 weeks old as of tomorrow. She'll be 6 weeks. Could be a growth spurt. It could be something like that too. But we just want to get it checked because this behavior is like night and day difference. Like she cries, but we've never heard her like scream, and she's been like screaming for 2 days straight, and she's been just blowing out diapers left and right. So we just want to make sure everything's okay. Let's see, what was I getting at? Oh yeah, so about the advancing and declining, you can pay attention to those things. It's just personally in the course there, I don't really like to if you notice in the course I say I don't like to get too much information. Sometimes too much information is not the best. It can make you hesitate, it can make you sell too early, it can make you not want to get in the right position, and then the position could be lost at that point. So if you take an extra 30 minutes to take a trade, we know things can really change. They can change for the better for you, but they can change for the worse. So now I do follow people who watch Advanced Decline and things like that, and I listen to them talk about it. I talked with Frank. I sent Frank a long email. He was asking some questions about the course, and I just stated to him, like, I am always researching. One of the things that I told him about is I still check Zillow, like almost probably like once a week now. I was checking it religiously, but I still check Zillow to see how the housing market is doing in populated cities, seeing if more houses are coming onto the market. So I literally have an Excel spreadsheet where I track a couple certain cities, and I see how many homes are for sale in that city on the whole market there. Do I follow SMCI? Not religiously, no. I'll check in on it every once in a while, but this thing has just been crazy to the upside, so I don't necessarily follow this too much. But how you could look at this, look at that rejection of the 2 hour. So I think this is overall what we were saying. We're pointing out these highs up here, is look at that 2 hour. If it's able to cross, well, then we can see this high broken. We could see a higher price point hit by end of week. Right now, this selling here, nothing too much to worry about. SMCI, you should be worried when you start seeing red bars like this coming just down and down, maybe even more vertical than that, right? We know that when the selling does come in, we see a pretty significant vertical move. So it can be something like this. This is when I would be worried. Once we start to see like boom, 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 like that's when I would be more worried. If I start to see bars like that, I'd be like, damn, this thing is selling off. Not trading SMCI. This thing's parabolic, and it can just keep being parabolic. If you get lucky and take a short here and you happen to hit when it crashes, that'd be great. And notice I didn't say if it crashes. Daily high on the VIX, we got to see that. See if it's able to curl over that 2 hour. If it curls over that 2 hour, which it very well might be. Ooh, gosh, guys. Dang, if the market's pretty bullish, if anyone's bullish out there, be a little careful. I'm gonna go look at something for us. Let's see if any plays were made out here on the SPY. Oop, nope, wrong thing. Wrong thing. I clicked, sometimes I click wrong. Dang, guys, my girls will be gone till like 4 today. Grandma's gonna help us out. Grandma raised 4 children, and I just would like to say I was the best one. Not children, baby-wise, I was the best one. Where the heck is it? Okay, Max Payne. I did want to see the update for today. I just want to see what's going on for today. What people's sentiment is as of today. About a 1.0 put to call ratio. So a little bit on the put side. A little bit on the put side. Once it starts to creep above 1, which people could start shorting today because, look at the SPY. It's starting to dip down, right? So people could start to pile on some shorts. We can look at PCC for just a brief moment. Oh my god, I'm sorry for your ears. I should have muted. But yeah, if you look at this, a little like almost a 1.0 put to call ratio. Let's check the Qs for the day. Qs for the day looks like your put wall is 432 and 436. So let's go check the Qs for a moment. Where did we dip down to? Well, we dipped down to 437.50. So we did come down towards 436. Your call wall 441. Okay, so 441 is right above us. So once we start to get above 441, we can start to be like, okay, this thing can start to squeeze. But till then, you really have to say it's going to be a fight between 436 and 431. So we could just keep consolidating here. Let's go into a 30-minute. That'll be better. 30-minute, yes, into negative territory on the Qs, right? We were talking about it going negative, but we're not breaking key levels. We need to break through some key levels. We need to set up, if this is going to be a lower high, we then have to prove this is going to make a lower low. So that's what I would say. Look for some kind of reaction down. As we are in negative territory, we can keep that coming down at this point. The only way you get bullish here is if you start to see that cross up. If that crosses up, you'll notice positive territory. Good to go. Amazon, I just want to check on this guy. Ooh, still going a little higher. Look at that test of this high. So with Amazon, you want to say, hey, it's very, very simple here. Test this high, see what happens. Test this high, see what happens. Then you can say weekly expected move probably. So that's something to pay attention to. I'm going to check the end of the week for the SPY because I had a huge like 3.0 put to call ratio. So I just want to check going into tomorrow. 2.7 going into tomorrow. Those calls are getting massive at 522 and 528. Absolutely massive. Look at this. Absolutely off the chart here. 522, almost 100,000. Holy crap, we have this many options expiring tomorrow? That's kind of crazy. We have 6 million, almost 6 million options expiring tomorrow, and we probably have, we still have a full Thursday for people to add those on, and you know that those day traders and people like that will join in tomorrow as well, so things could get pretty wild over the next 24 hours. That's the way I would put it. 15-minute on NVIDIA, now you're seeing that go negative. You just need some better selling. Okay, so if this is going to prove itself as some kind of, selling algorithm, we could see this actually do this. We want to ride down like that. That's how we want it to really go to prove like, hey, this is selling off. Because as of right now, you're not necessarily selling off too hard. You're really still just tapering with these lows, which could be some form of consolidation, right? To then head higher. So that's something to pay attention to. Most likely looking like something like this. It starts to break through here. Might be a good sign. So let's see if some bullishness can come in. We have a lot of people with a lot of puts in this overall market on the SPY, at least. For sure on the SPY. We can check the Qs, QQQ. And notice I'm not trying to block anything out. You guys can go look at this stuff yourself as well. Some people like to hide maximum pain so they can talk. I mean, I get it, but you just literally type maximum pain. It's like maximumpain.com or so. Now with this one, we notice high put walls 420, 425 put walls here, sitting at max pain sitting at about 420. So if these calls go under, we can see that push down. We do have a put call ratio of 1.9232, so that's pretty high. A lot of the market banking on the market going down by tomorrow. So right now 439 is where we're at. So nothing really to be worried about. These people can keep going underwater. We could squeeze at this point if we wanted to, but looks like NVIDIA's starting to head lower. We have to break above some levels in order to actually squeeze. AMD call 10% quick in and out. Let's go. Sam Lemon throwing up those chats. Billionaire mind, bless you. SMCI looking like it's curling down. Which chart? Maybe NVIDIA profit taking. They're buying AMD. Yeah, AMD is what we're paying attention to with this triple divergence on the 15 and the 30 minute. You have a little tiny divergence right here. This little dip down. And the thing about this divergence, you have to say it has 2 points. Okay, so it has one divergence with this low, It has one divergence with this one down here, but you don't necessarily, you have triple divergence on the MACD, not on the RSI at the same time, right? We came a little bit lower down there. So if you can see it, because whenever I go down here, this pops up, and this is the most frustrating thing ever. I wish I could get rid of this. But it always pops up and it bugs me. So yeah, pay attention. This is where we really need to watch AMD for some kind of reaction. Remember, this is the bottom side of the weekly expected move. That means the options market has only priced in all of this. We can see some kind of bounce to just remain in here. We could remain flat, though, all of Friday. We could remain flat all of Friday as well. So don't think it has to go up because it's at the bottom side, but a good chance that you have some reward to the upside on that one. Meta still not able to break through its range. So this is really what we're paying attention to on Meta to go higher. Notice we're just fighting right near the center line. So this is still 50-50 on Meta at this point. Apple seeing a pretty good move, completing this cup over here. See if we get that small handle, head a little bit higher. We told you guys on Sunday this could head all the way up to here. Looks like that very well may happen. Maybe these NVIDIA people are rotating into Apple once more, going for something that's a little bit more comfortable, right? That's what I would put it as. Tesla still breaking down to lower levels. If you're part of the Patreon, watch out for those weekly expected moves because Tesla's getting pretty darn close. Pretty darn close. I'll put it that way. You know you're doing better on YouTube when you guys, well, I don't know if it's bots or real people. It's too hard to tell when people ask for a video editor and things. I can tell you guys if you are genuinely reaching out to me about video editing, I am putting out information about stocks and about how to, you know, I'm trying to teach about these stocks and things like that. I'm trying to bring forth information. So it's very hard for me to onboard a video editor, especially when I'm still early on, guys. I'm only 3,000 subs or something. So one, wouldn't be able to pay anyone because I want YouTube money to be able to pay for it. And right now I think I make like you guys want to know how much money I make off YouTube? It's like $150 a month. So if you ever have a good trade, throw a coin to your Witcher over here. But totally understand like that kind of thing. But yeah, I make like $150. So it's like, hey, if you want to edit my videos, the only other part to that is one, you'd probably make like $2 a video. And then two, it's very hard for me to let someone else go through my videos and put it out, like edit my videos, because I'm talking about stocks. I'm talking about something I'm very passionate about and I'm trying to teach people. So I don't want them to like add the wrong thing. If I like say something, because I have word vomit sometimes, if I say something and I'm like, oh wait, that's just wrong. Like yesterday, I think I said, oh, there's divergence up here, and I was like, oh wait, there's no divergence up here. That is something I would normally cut out, but I kind of just like let it go. But sometimes I do literally like talk about something, and I'll be like, there's divergence here, and then I'm like, no, there's not. And if they leave that in there, it can really trick people. So I like to be in control of my video. That's how I would say it. I see, and like we said, they're buying AMD, little AR-15. I'm not necessarily seeing some big buying come in. I would say they're more rotating towards Apple. You would like them to be rotating into Tesla, but it's very hard for them to rotate into Tesla as of right now. I can't remember. Does SpaceX still have its own ticker? No, it doesn't. Okay, it doesn't have its own. So it's very hard to invest in Tesla when things like a rocket are exploding and cars were. I think we actually had some cars get. It's not recalled. I think we had some of those Tesla cars get recalled. Maybe the Obama movie's coming true, guys. No, it's not coming true. Not as of right now. That Obama movie wasn't bad. And I say Obama movie, it's he wrote it. It's like an apocalypse movie about a cyber attack, pretty much, which is definitely how I see things. It's funny, like my buddy's a detective. He's got his ear to a lot of things, and he tells me about some stuff, and I'm just like, damn, where the world's at right now is sketch. We go through some kind of financial crisis, it might get sketchier. Trading live in Australia at 2 a.m. Thanks for your work. Hey, it's 2 a.m. You can have your brekkie. Adrian Nelson, tell me one thing. One, do you say brekkie? First of all. Second thing would be, do you watch Kath and Kim? Yeah, guys, we need to get that Pelosi portfolio out here. We need to take a good hard look. Actually, you want to look at her husband's portfolio. Kath and Kim is that, it's like an Australian sitcom almost. It is wonky as hell, and I love it. I think it's so funny. I watch it with my usually we go over to my mom and dad's on Sunday. Kath and Kim's old school? How old is Kath and Kim? G'day, mate. I miss my Australian soccer teammates. Australians are dope. My business that I ran before COVID hit was an app that I made with my brother, which was an app that shows you local restaurant specials near you. So you could go support local businesses, like support your neighbor type deal, and you could get like good food at a discount. So I would put if they have a half price burger day or something, you just pull up your phone, you click on my app, and it shows you the nearest local specials to you, so you only have to drive like a mile to go get a good burger or something like that. G'day. And it was really cool. I actually had someone in Australia reach out to me, and I was working on putting it in Australia, if you can believe that. So when COVID was actually hitting, right before COVID was hitting, I was actually working out a deal to put my app in Australia. It was still startup mode, but I thought putting it in another country would be sick, and I had a guy that was going to work for me and push it and market it and do all that good stuff. So that was pretty cool. Then COVID hit and everything got ruined. But also before COVID hit, we found out there's like laws of how you can promote things in Australia, because I guess you guys have like 18-year-olds who are just like drinking like 50-year-olds or something like that. Tell me if that's true, Adrian. In Australia, do you guys have a youth drinking problem? Because that's what I was told. So legally, I could not put my app out there the way that I wanted to. Because you're only it's something to do with how you market alcohol or something like that. I don't know if they were Australia had a drug problem or something like that at the time or something. But they said they put laws in place so that young people can't get special pricing, or not young people, but people can't get a certain method of lower prices for drinks and stuff like that. I'm going to watch this for another... Let's see, we've gone for about an hour and a half. I probably should hop off in about 30 minutes to an hour. I'll see how I'm feeling in 30 minutes to an hour, guys, just with how baby girl's been over the last couple days. It's been a little bit rough as far as sleep goes. Let's just put it that way. So she goes to the doctor today. We'll see if anything's wrong, see if there's any solutions, but she might just be, someone mentioned teething and stuff like that. Do they really start teething at 6 weeks? No way. Hey, Steven, thank you so much. If you are on the live channel here, I see you just joined the Patreon. I really appreciate that, brother. Let's see. When do newborns start teething? 4 and 7 months? Teething can begin as early as 3 months. She ain't teething. You guys were trolling me. You guys know I know nothing about babies. I just know they're cute. You hold them and they poop and they eat. That's about it. Steven, I saw you just joined the Patreon. Really appreciate you being there, buddy. If you just noticed anything that we did post on Patreon, we can look at AMD to see how that thing's performing throughout the day. Q's still holding at higher levels. SPY running into a little bit of a trend line here, using it maybe as some support. Now there's two options here. We could be using this as support right now, or we could be completing a cup and getting some kind of handle to head lower. So be aware of both sides. Where's the Patreon link? It should be down in the description. You get it for $7 a month. It is never going to change. It will always be $7 a month. We are always adding to it. always giving some trade setup ideas, giving you those weekly ranges for every stock that we cover on this channel, giving you the monthly ranges for every stock that we cover on this channel. And for YouTube, you'll get this for one more week. We're going to give you the daily expected moves for Friday for every stock going into tomorrow's close, but that is going to be reverted. We are going to put that on Patreon. I want to make sure Patreon is as beneficial as possible, really help you guys out over there. We may even do a closing live video for just Patreon on Fridays. We'll have to see. I haven't done my Patreon update. Perfect. I don't see the link. I'll double check to make sure it's there. Sometimes my my live settings might not have it on there. So my live settings for some reason delete my links sometimes. Weekly ranges. So it won't be like it kind of pops up as like a thing with a red symbol next to it. I really don't know why, but if you hover over or if you click on that, it should work. It says weekly, monthly risk ranges and an exclusive trading setup video every week. I haven't been able to do the trading video this week just because baby girl has been pretty rough. But yeah, it should be right under here. You see it. It's like the second part. So you see the support for the channel. But if you want those weekly ranges, you just look at that, and then there's like a little symbol that I posted there. And then underneath that, obviously, is the course if you want to learn a little bit better of how I see things in the stock market. Learn about why these indicators and things like that are very important. That's the overall goal there. Appreciate it, Tony. Hit me up in there, join. You can see we posted a trading idea today. I'm trying to post a bunch of pictures of trading ideas just because I really have not had time. Literally, I get off of this and I'm immediately dad mode and like watching my trades at the same time. I don't have very many trades, but I'm watching my trades while being dad mode at the same time. So give me a like for a hard-working dad. I noticed we only have 41 likes. Yesterday we were able to get to 100. If we could do that 2 days in a row, I'd be pumped. I would be pumped. I'd be so pumped to go and maybe I'd even stay on another hour or something like that because my girls are gone today, so I can't actually remain on. It's just I thought about taking a nap, honestly. I slept pretty good last night, I would say that, but I was up till... I like to give mom a good amount of sleep, so if anyone's a dad out there, you understand, moms need their sleep, so when I can help, I help, and most of the time that's from like 10 p.m. to about 2 a.m. Oh, Petey Pivots. Spicy, sweet hat, dude, thank you. Pretty sick. Pretty sick, it's a little boat. Get your rest, playa. Nah, I'll chill. The thing is, like, my brain is so active that it's very hard for me to, like, fall asleep. So I'm one of those people that really struggles to fall asleep because I'm just always thinking about something. It's a blessing and a curse. Apple making that strong move higher. Look at that. Able to break through. See if it breaks this wick, but good sign. We're going to go up towards that zone. Amazon breaking higher. Look at that thing move right now. Kind of interesting, though, that we're not seeing a pop in these these chip stocks, really. So AMD coming down to lower range here. This little micro device is looking like a micro price action here. Getting tight, though, so we could see some kind of reaction here. Pay attention to that. NVIDIA looks like we are consolidating. Is that consolidating to head lower a little bit? Possibly. We just want to see if this is broken. If we start seeing more vertical selling, that's where I would be more worried about some downside here. But as we are continuing in this little trend here, I'm not too worried. We could still see that structure going up. So you do have a way down, a way up. The way down, boom, boom. We come down like this, get some kind of reaction, get boom, boom, boom in the shorter time frames, right? The 30-minute here. We want to head up, left head, right shoulder to head up. I'm in. Thank you. Tony, I see a meet. Oh, let's call you by your full name. Anthony. If you ever need to find anything and you're religious, Saint Anthony. I think it's a luck thing, but whenever I lost something when I was like a teenager, I'd be like, you know, my mom says it works, so Saint Anthony, can you help me find this? And then it would like click in my brain where it is. Probably a coincidence, probably just the willingness, but pretty cool. Thanks for joining, Tony. Really appreciate you being here, bud. We've gotten a good amount of new Patreon members, and I really appreciate that because It just really shows how people find those weekly ranges very, very useful. Do you think the Fed will let the stock market go down before their meeting next week? I think that where the stock market is right now, they don't really care. I think they are more worried about the banks. I think at this point, they are worried about the banks. We heard a bunch of question about banks from the politicians. Boo, politicians. But that could just tell us, hey, banks are on a lot of these big guys' mind. Banks are on politicians' minds. Banks are on the Fed's mind. So I think they're really worried about banks. I don't think they care where the stock market is right now, unless like what Biden's in their ear, Biden's team is in his ear. But it doesn't seem that way. He's not saying bullish things, right? He's saying we're going to cut. He's being vague, which people can take as bullish. Like, saying we will cut rates by something by the end of the year. It's like we will cut rates. People are like, yay. By something by the end of the year. But this is the crazy part. Okay, Phantom will like this. Phantom will like this. All right. So the fact that they changed from saying we're going to do 3 rate cuts, maybe even do one of those cuts in the first quarter of 2024. Now they're not saying that. Now they're switching to we're going to cut rates by some by the end of the year is how I took it during the last time that Fed Jerome Powell was speaking. If someone wants to correct me and has a better quote or something like that, but that's at least how I took it. And that tells me 2 things. One, they could either not cut as aggressively by end of year. That some means it could be 1, 2, people say a few, or that people say a couple and then they end up doing 1. People say a couple and they end up doing 3. So you have to pay attention to that. But some could mean 1, 2, 3 by end of year. Some could mean 1 by December. Some could also mean that they know that they are going to have to cut more dramatically because they're seeing things in the banking system that we aren't able to see at this point. So you have to think of that as well. If they're starting to change their language to some after saying 3, well, it could mean a few things. They could mean they're not going to cut as much by the end of the year. It could mean they're going to take more time to cut. And then it could also say, hey, some might mean, hey, we have to cut by 5, what would that be? 150 basis points all of a sudden. That's when you have the crash happening. That's when you start to see those lower prices, because if they do that, that means something's broken. That just means something's broken. We've never seen a point in history where someone's dramatically cut rates and we didn't see a crash. Yo, I'm thinking about getting another cup of coffee. This stuff is dank. Been loading bank puts into June and January. You think all the way into January? That's interesting. Let's see if this VIX was able to curl up on this 2 hour. It probably did. Oh my gosh, guys. This is... Ooh, that is... I mean, we filled this gap and now we're starting to go. I mean, we filled this one gap. I really thought, hey, we might come down to the other one, but nope, we are just going. Uncle Sam can't afford bonds to roll over at this elevated rate. Fed will have to cut around June, July at the latest. And yeah, it's just the reason that they cut is going to be more important. And if they announce some kind of Fed rate cut, like say next week, and we see a pullback now, that would mean we could get bullish until that cut happens. So we could see higher prices in a lot of stocks. Can you explain what the VIX tells us? The VIX is measuring calls. I believe it's like a month out. So it is telling, it's kind of a sentiment indicator. So right now you would say if it's dipping down like this, you'll notice when it's below 20, that's the easiest way to do it. When it's below 20, usually we're seeing some bullishness. When it's below 1683, that's something that I marked off as well. That means bullish if it's coming down. If it's bearish, that means people are starting to sell out of their calls, right? So we're seeing people actually get some fear. So the best way to look at the VIX is say, this is my fear indication for the SPY, and just say this thing can start ripping higher. That means there will be extreme fear in the market. That's why when you look at something like this weekly that is starting to really get up towards positive territory, that means fear could be in the market for weeks. So if this goes positive, fear can go into the market for weeks. You notice this getting really tight on these Bollinger Bands. Fear can come into the market for weeks. That just tells you if fear's in the market for weeks, most likely we are going to see a reason for fear to be in the market for weeks, which would be some kind of crisis. NASDAQ at the 5-day EMA. So I hope that was helpful. You don't have to read into the call side of things. You really just have to say, hey, up here, people are really, really fearful. It's also a good indication when you top out on the VIX like this. This is what we talked about a long time ago. When you top out like this, you get that reaction off this 200 on the weekly. You see that pull down. Now you're going to see bullishness for weeks because you're curling down into negative territory. You topped out. You're breaking through all the moving averages. This is your bull run. And then you notice now people are starting to be like, oh, this is a little high. This is a little high. I'm scared something's going to break. But in the shorter ones, let's say like daily, you can still see these fluctuations. But the fact that the VIX is going back and forth just tells you, hey, you know, volatility can come back in. The 2 hour starting to curl up. We got a green bar on the 2 hour. We got a green bar here. Not a good sign going forward, but we still haven't lost it. SPY uncrossing on that as of right now. Now, sometimes you do get the point where the VIX pops and the SPY does not drop. Okay, that could mean that people are getting fearful. You know, and we really pay attention to if the VIX pops, but the SPY pops with it, that can be a signal. One of them is usually wrong. So you really want to pay attention at that point. Go into a 15-minute just for a little bit. Let's see if the SPY or the Qs or NVIDIA is able to make some kind of move. You guys let me know if anything starts to move out there, all right? Q is still positive at this point. NVIDIA down 2.67, and AMD is what we'll really watch in a moment. AMD, I'm really looking for this 15-minute. Just curled down. See if that curls back up. Completes the triple divergence across the board here on the 15-minute. Once this goes positive, it can see a very big positive reaction. If it remains negative, you have the crazier thing that can happen as far as end of week goes. But if we break down, we do have 68% chance to end up here, 32% chance something more dramatic happens. All right, let's watch the Qs. They're about to curl up. Let's see if this can curl up into positive territory. You notice here, we're still by that center line, so no reason to get overly bearish. No reason to get overly bullish yet, right? We're still in negative territory. Little bit of an edge to the bears at this point. You're a little below the center line, so if selling comes in, it can be a little bit better. But if this crosses over, boom, it's up. That's why today is just a wonky day to trade. It's right in the middle. NVIDIA, you can see, still very close to the middle here, even with this drop right next to the middle. So we have to see, is this going to curl up and create that structure on the way up? We'll have to find out. So maybe we'll stay live a little longer today, have some fun. Microsoft, we have looked at a little bit, but not, so how can I get access? Quick question, do we get access to Discord? I don't have a Discord right now. I keep getting asked about it, and I totally get it. I like Discord. I've used it for a long time. I actually used it back when I was like streaming for comedy. I used to stream comedy stuff on Twitch. We would just watch videos, and I'd throw like little drinking parties and stuff. It was more centered around the branding of my app, and I would have like 100 people in there just hanging out with me, and I had like a spin wheel and stuff, and it was cool. But as far as Discord goes right now, I just don't have the time to fully make it right now. And I would be doing you a disservice because I wouldn't be able to keep up with it. Right now, Patreon is where I post everything that I'm seeing because I can't post that much. I have a new baby girl. She was premature. She's just now, as of tomorrow, she's going to be 6 weeks old. SPX breakout. Sometimes the XBX gives us a little bit different structure on the MACD because it trades a little bit more. So we can maybe pay attention to this on a 30-minute curling up. There's no reason to get overly bearish, especially when looking at SPX. You're right at the center line. You're still barely in positive. If this curls up, you've built up good liquidity throughout all of this move. Now you're getting tight. You have to see which way this chooses to go. Is this going to be cup and handle this way, or is this a big cup? And is this just a big handle to head up in the future? So that's what we'll pay attention to. I just like the SPY. What's your app? So it's not out there anymore, but it's not out there anymore. COVID put me out of business, guys. So it was starting to do really well. It was called Feast, Feest, and that's because well, my family's part Dutch, and so feast means festival or party in Dutch. And so we just wanted that. I think it's pronounced feist, but we wanted that to be a thing, and I was really growing it. It actually had like 6,000 downloads in my, or 4,000 downloads in my city, and then 6,000 across my state, which was pretty cool because I funded it with zero money. Zero. I had zero funding money. I did it all myself. My brother, he created it, like, because he's a software engineer, and me myself, I designed it and marketed it and got it to grow pretty good. But COVID put me out of business. Once all the restaurants couldn't serve human beings, it was kind of pointless for them to, buy into my membership so people could see their specials. It was kind of pointless. So it put me out of business. It was not a good point in my life. It was terrible. But that moment made me focus harder on technical analysis. So you guys can actually say thank you to that app failing at that point and say thank you to COVID, because I wouldn't be here right now, most likely, if things with that app were still going well. But it was a fun thing. It really was. So Feast was pretty dope. People really liked it. I still get asked about it today. Like, literally, I'll open my Facebook and people will still be like, hey, when are you bringing the app back? So if one day I have a bunch of money, if I have a bunch of money to fund putting that thing out to the entire United States, I would do that if I had the money to fund that. But that's some funding right there. But yeah, it's literally very simple. You just like open it up. It's kind of like almost like a Twitter feed, but all you see are like profiles for the local restaurants that are closest to you that are serving a special at that point. So a lot of people would use it who are in the business world and wanted to go to like a happy hour. Okay, so it's kind of like a happy hour app as well as far as the drinking side. People used it at nightclubs. They would go. I found a business called me once and told me to take their specials off because so many people were asking for the special. It was pretty cool. But I was like, hey, you made the special, so so yeah, I had like nightclubs hitting me up being like, oh, this is like, we're getting like 20 people asking for the same thing. I was like, that's great. I had like little Mexican restaurants saying, like, people showing up for dollar tacos, right, on Taco Tuesday, and they were like loving that. And then I would go out and do videography for these businesses as well for a very cheap price. So I also gave some work to videographers in town, and that's how I got into videography, video editing, and things like that. My creative brain is very good for that stuff. Very enjoyable time. All I had to do back then was I sponsored a lot of events, and I went and I got to film events with people, make some hype videos. I got to film Wu-Tang Clan once. That was pretty sick. Yeah, so I even got concert venues to take my app in, and they would put their specials out for concerts. So they would have special drinks for their concerts, and Wu-Tang was there, and I offered to, film it for them and give them a hype video for a pretty dang good price. This is in Kansas. It's in, I'm sure you guys don't care. It's in Wichita, Kansas. So I just moved back here. Just moved back, hence why I'm not in the nicest office right now. I just moved back because closer to family for the baby. But I'll tell you what, all the craziness that's going on in the world. I was in Atlanta for a little bit. I almost moved to Florida. There's Texas, Cali. It seems like every big place is going through some psycho craziness. My wife's from New York, so you can imagine how she feels seeing the stuff go on in New York. She's like, she absolutely thinks they've ruined New York to the point where no one can live there now. And that's kind of sad to see. Me, myself, it was really funny because I was like, we were walking, I think we went to a bar with our friends, and then we were walking back to our car, and I was like, oh man, someone pissed here. It smells like piss. And Danny was like, no, Danny said, what did she say? We were walking to our car, and she goes, oh my gosh, it smells like New York here. And I went, it smells like absolute piss outside right now, because we were like walking, bars and stuff. People probably pee on the side of stuff. But I was like, it smells like pee. She's like, yeah, just like New York. Did you visit? Is that San Francisco? I had my grandpa was from San Francisco. I've been to San Francisco a few times. Yeah, San Francisco. I when I visited when I was a kid, San Francisco was beautiful. I loved going there when I was growing up. Loved going there. And then my dad went there because my grandpa passed shortly after COVID. My grandpa passed, and he was in San Francisco. And my dad went out there, and he said it's just 180. Not shortly after COVID, a couple years after COVID. He was like, it is going to go downhill fast. So we sold all of my my grandpa had like his house and like a yacht there, a yacht, like a houseboat, nothing crazy. Um, wish my family was well enough to offer a yacht, but yeah. So he had like a houseboat there that he really liked to stay on, and he had a property that was his, home. And we sold both of those immediately when we saw how messed up San Francisco was already getting, and that was a couple years ago. So you can only imagine how it is now. Retail and fast food chains here due to theft. Yeah, I heard a lot of businesses are leaving. Are leaving San Francisco, are leaving California in general, just because of the theft, and they keep like increasing the limit that someone can steal or something like that. All right, and we can get off this, get back into the stocks. Is Tesla going more down? I would say this, weirdly enough, this is very, very dramatic selling, honestly. It really is for Tesla. You've built up a lot of liquidity. Let's not be faked out here. I mean, you're down 3% for the day. 3% for Tesla, way more meaningful than 3% for Nvidia, first of all. That's something to pay attention to, but I would just say this is where Tesla has to really hold up this week. If you're part of the Patreon, you just scroll through. Tony, you're new, so if you scroll through and you find those weekly ranges, you can get those on your charts. I'm just going to tell you guys Tesla's at it right now. So this is, if support doesn't come in here, we could head towards that 154 I was talking about. But it's really starting to look like we could hit 154 sometime in March. Robert's right. See, Robert knows. Biden will fall down the stairs. That's already happened. Like, you sound like Dawson sounds like a time traveler, but he's bad at it. Like Biden already fell down the stairs before, but next Dawson's gonna be like, and he's gonna fall off a bike. We're like, dude, you need to go back further. You're a time traveler, but you need to go back a little further. These things already happened. Oh, shit. All right. SPY still, I mean, honestly, as far as SPY and Q goes, SPYs and Qs go, kind of a little bit of a dud of a day, honestly. Not the most exciting. The real excitement's with IWM. Look at that thing coming down pretty good. Cool thing about IWM, that little divergence on the hourly or 2 hour that we pointed out up here would have been good. I wish I saw that one. Apple seeing resistance, not fully able to close above this level here. That's something to pay attention to. Amazon still heading higher, but we're seeing some volatility in the market creep up, right? We're seeing this VIX creep up. And it's just going. That 2 hour cross, this could be one of those moments. Now this could be another, fake out. So we want to pay attention to any kind of rolling over, say on like a 30-minute or something like that. As you are still close to that negative territory. So see if this happens. You could be getting some kind of retest before heading lower. We'll have to see. But this is a good sign. I would not say this is bullish at this point on the, as far as the VIX is telling you. It's saying, hey, I kind of want to go into positive territory on this 2 hour. And I have the daily that's in a positive trend as well. Boom. Sometimes the VVIX will top out before, so I'll pay attention to that on the right side of the screen here. Dow Jones, this was a trade that we were talking about, the potential for upside to come test this level up here, and a little bit of a double bottom down here, so that's something that was cool. Actually, someone even emailed me and said, hey, thanks for telling me about the Dow Jones. I looked at it, took a little trade. That was good. Now, this would be bearish as well, right? If this is able to cross over, then you can say, okay, the momentum's really weak here. We're seeing that selling come in. If we start to break some key levels, break through this level, you kind of solidify a little bit of a negative trend. This one here, pretty parabolic move. No divergences on the, well, one divergence here on the MACD, but that's kind of taken away. Look at the weakness on the RSI, starting to turn down pretty good here. So this weakness can come in for MicroStrategy because we're starting to lose the moving average. We see this divergence here, not necessarily having it up here, but dramatic divergence on the RSI pointing down at this point. You can start to head lower. Was there any indicator yesterday or in the pre-market that Microsoft was going to rip this morning? Not necessarily. Actually, I would have considered Microsoft. This was a play we were paying attention to, a break to the upside, a break to the downside. It was just stuck in a range. There was nothing really to tell you this was going to head higher except for consolidation near the top here. So how it wants to go up from here, this is why we pay attention to structure overall. Cup. This is a sufficient handle, okay? Sometimes that handle doesn't have to be that deep. Boom, we see that explosion to the upside. We could get a reaction down to retest an area before going higher. I know a lot of people were looking at socks. This is the, what, the bear one? Yeah, this is the bear one. Okay, so this would be, what, the opposite of the semiconductors. So this is pretty much you're saying, hey, this is going to rip higher. You don't necessarily want to do TA on things like this, because if I go to something like, I don't know, even volatility, UVXY on a 30-minute, I'm going to see 100 divergences down here. So you don't want to do your TA there. So when you're doing TA on these 3 times leverage stuff, you want to see what this one is monitoring. Okay, I'm monitoring volatility. Okay, let me go look at volatility. Does that look like it's going to pop? Well, yes, it looks like the 2-hour curled over. Can volatility remain up there? Well, on the daily, if I'm able to turn that up again and close above 200, we could be seeing an extreme amount of volatility come in. So just want to see if this 30-minute rolls back over. This is a very extremely high move at this point. XLF. Let's go take a look at XLF. We haven't looked at that for a little bit. This is going to be the financials. All right, so this is kind of what we were talking about a moment ago, and I want to pull this down because look at those divergences. Not a good look here, okay? Not a good look. You do have multiple point divergence here. You got one here, you got one here. It's overall just telling you there is momentum really slowing here. There could be some bad news. If we get bad news, then we could see that pulled down. So that's what we really need to pay attention to. You need to see these divergences, yes, and you can position yourself if you really want to bank on them. It's fine. I do that sometimes. If I see some kind of big news event or something like that coming out, maybe I will take a small position, and then once I get confirmation with that news, then I will take a real position, I would say. And then NVIDIA, yeah, that's something we're really paying attention to today. Breaking down a little bit lower here. Starting to get worrisome. This 30-minute creeping more and more into negative territory here, but still not dramatic enough, I would say. This needs to really start to sell off. I would say if we break through this level here, I want to see a firm bar coming down, but maybe it just fills this gap and it's some kind of trap at that point. So we have to pay attention to if we see some kind of divergences on the VIX, but we don't see anything right now. We just see the 15-minute, even the 5-minute. You could see some kind of pullback out of this soon. RSI getting a little bit tired here, but this is a 5-minute chart. If you go pull up the 2-hour, oh God, the trend for the 2-hour, this thing is crossing. And then TLT, yeah, so if you're part of the Patreon, TLT coming into the bottom side of its weekly expected move, but the fact that the overall market over the last couple of days was doing this and TLT actually broke down and did this, that kind of was a warning sign. I think we talked about this live a little bit. When a stock crosses the weekly range, what does that indicate? Okay, so the weekly range, you can learn a lot more about these weekly ranges in the course. So if you really want to get a good grasp of these weekly ranges, highly encourage you to see the course because it's the same for the monthly, it's the same for the daily. Okay, so the purple lines are the weekly range, right? So if we get excited, say early on in the week, let's use Meta. Okay, Meta. So this is the bottom side, this white line here, we gave it to you guys. We even gave you the monthlies for Meta, but the bottom side of the weekly expected move is 483.08. That means that when the price comes outside of this range, we have a 68% chance to land back within that range. So it means you have a 68% chance to land somewhere up in this area, but you also have that 68% chance to land back up in here. Now, when you do see dramatic selling come in, when something more volatile is happening in the market, you can break through this level and then come up and use it as resistance, and then you have that 32% chance of that happening. But if no bad news or anything like that is coming out, it's very good to pay attention to stocks, because this is what hinted us on Monday. When it happens early on in the week, that is something to pay attention to. This was how we called a trap in the Qs. We were like, hey, this is a trap. This right here, this is a trap, because Meta is really telling us, it's giving us a hint that the potential of this being a trap is pretty high. So I hope that helps, Stephen. If you really want the real explanation behind this, the real I would say in depth, and then how to utilize them, you can join that course, man. It really will help, and it's half price for this month. And as we are seeing volatility spike up, you can see, I told you in March, we're going to see some big traps everywhere. We've gotten all these traps, and then by the end of March, we're going to see that volatility creep up. Okay, once volatility creeps up, I even give you a strategy around these weekly ranges. We put together everything. We put together MACD, RSI, trading ranges, support and resistance. We put it all together. Sweet, thanks. You're welcome, Ant-Man. I don't know why I was like, but enjoying myself today. I'm going to go check. Listen to me. I'm going to go check. If this thing does not at least say 60 likes, I am going to ban a select random person. No, I'm not going to do that. Also, Mel Gibson. I didn't even notice. Your name's Mel Gibson in there. That's pretty sick. No, I'm not going to ban anyone. But I want to see if there's likes, okay? If there's we got to see a good amount of likes coming in. I just want this channel to keep growing. It's doing well. You guys are really helping me out, and I do appreciate it. Let's see what we got going on. What do we got? 68. You guys pass. I said above 60. I said above 60. You guys pass. Congratulations. Now you make money on all your stocks. And Obina. Is Obina still in here? Obina, let me see you. Where you at? BCHG, I'll check it real quick. Oh, this is on the OTC, but this thing is parabolic right now. Jeez, that's the Bitcoin. Yeah, this thing's gonna be parabolic. But be careful. Bitcoin looks like it could top out. Look at that. It could top out here, losing a moving average. Dave Sangler says 100. What was their name? I already forgot your name. I'm so sorry. Obina. Okay, I was right. In my head, I was right, but I was too scared to say it out loud. Obina, if you're still here, say what's up. Say hello. Obi. Oh, man, one of my best friends growing up was Obi. That's awesome. Well, Obi, I just want to say thank you so much for the donation. I saw it over there on the PayPal link, and thank you for doing it on PayPal. You guys know that YouTube, if you do donate on YouTube and you like to donate on YouTube, I totally understand. I just want you to know the PayPal's a little better for your boy, because YouTube takes about half of my donations at this point. They tell you it's 30%, but the first time someone donated $20 to me, I made $9.80, and I was like, I really should tell people about that, because I assume you guys don't want to keep giving money to YouTube. Wednesday AI conference, I believe it starts the 18th. The 18th of March is when that begins. Pedro, I'll take a look at that for you. Dollar Tree. Oh, this has been really trending lately, by the way. This was trending, so probably because of yesterday, but this thing has really been trending lately. Obi. Juan Kenobi. I liked you before you asked. Thank you, Type K Blood. Do you think a video will go up before the AI conference? It depends on what the sentiment is. So if people are bearish going into the conference, we could see a big bounce. If people are bullish into the conference, it most likely means it's a buy the rumor, sell the news type event. So we have to see. Today, I would say it looks like we're going to sell off based on what's happening here. But I'm still not terribly worried at this point. Now, this is the first check mark, guys. The first check mark is 15-minute going into negative territory, right? This is the first check mark. The only problem I'm having with this is it's not dramatic enough for NVIDIA to really break down. It needs to be, you know, pretty dramatic. I mean, if it continues down maybe in this pattern, like we see another move down here, that would be good. But I really would like to see the selling kind of escalate if we're going to see lower prices. Tesla hitting the weekly range, that's something we can keep an eye on. AMD going and testing that bottom range again. We gave you guys that for this week. I know a lot of people were trying to trade around AMD this week, so that's something to pay attention to. Meta going positive. The Q's sitting a little bit lower. IWM still selling off, but as we look into Tesla, let's take a quick peek here. Yep, so I believe we're breaking down outside of that weekly expected move. Delete something here. And thank you, Dat Boy, for coming into the Patreon. And thank you, I'm meeting Philip. Philip, thank you for joining the Patreon. Really appreciate it. Happy to have you guys here. And Frank, I'll get to your... God dang, dude, I keep getting the hiccups. You guys ever hear when I get hiccups in my videos too? Frank, I'll get to your email once I'm done here for the day. And my ADHD kicked in. What was I doing? Someone remind me. Weekly range. Tesla weekly range. Tesla, yep, we hit it. We're actually below it right now. There you go. So this is where we could see a reaction out of Tesla. Sorry, that kind of popped down for a second. You have a feeling we break the weekly ranges this week? That would be, you know, usually if you're going to break the weekly ranges, you know, Thursday is the day to do it because then you can remain below it for the rest of the week. If it happens early in the week, that's when you kind of say like, hey, there's potential for a bounce. As you approach the end of the week and you break some ranges, a little bit worrisome. Maybe that bounce comes in on Monday, but you have to say, hey, this is some pretty powerful selling on a Friday. And I believe Fridays are the most bullish days in the market. Drink water for hiccups. That's probably the reason that I have the hiccups. I'm only drinking coffee this morning. Which I might go make another coffee, actually. Because that coffee's damn good. But hey, I'm happy to see a bunch of people joining the Patreon. It's awesome. I'm always looking for ways to make it better. You know, for that price point, $7 a month, I really want to make sure to give you guys at least, you know, $21 of value. I worked in marketing for a long time, and so I've created the habit of being like, if I sell something for X, I want to give back 3X in some way. I want you guys to get 3 times the amount of value. So one of those things would be weekly ranges. 2 of those things might be setting up those trading things. Like if I see a trade that I think you should be watching and you could potentially get into, that's what I'll put on there. And then the third thing I'm trying to add would be, you know, some kind of video that you guys could get throughout the week. That's what we've added, but been a little busy this week. So now we're thinking about adding the daily ranges for every Friday and maybe a live video at the end of Friday close every single week. That would be very, very fun. Hey, Tony, I just saw. Thank you so much for getting in on that course. Really appreciate it. Remember, throughout the course, when you are taking it and things like that, if you can hear me right now, because you might be on the other link. But first of all, really appreciate it. Second of all, make sure to note that while you're taking it, you can always email me. Frank can attest to that. I do want to be helpful with your guys' learning. I want you to get into a place where you're comfortable with your trades. Obviously, it's not going to be like, should I buy the SPY or something like that? I want to answer questions around the actual course. So the weekly ranges, Frank had some questions and I tackled those hopefully pretty well, Frank. But Tony, really appreciate it. I give my email plenty of times throughout that course. So make sure to email me if you do have questions. All right, guys, I'm going to go make a quick coffee. Let me see if Bloomberg's talking about anything at this point. We put Bloomberg up, just see if they're talking about anything interesting for you. That way you're not just sitting in silence, unless you guys prefer to sit in silence. But yeah, they got some tunes up. I'll turn it on pretty light. All right, I'll be right back.
markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day on Bloomberg Radio, Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm John Tucker in the Bloomberg Newsroom with his Bloomberg Business Flash. Well, hot inflation reports reinforcing bets that the Federal Reserve is going to be in no rush to cut interest rates. You have Treasury yields higher, the major stock averages lower, at least for now. Gains in the shares of Microsoft right now, keeping a lid on further losses in the major averages. Microsoft, in fact, on track for a record. They're making their artificial intelligence product, Copilot for Security, available worldwide next month. And as the Fed policymakers prepare to meet next week, Julia Coronado at Macro Policy Perspectives says they can take their time before cutting interest rates.
3 rate cuts, they could start in June, July, and they'll have more data in hand by then. They are not in a rush, and I think that's the holding pattern idea. They haven't gained more confidence. They haven't necessarily lost confidence.
And among the stocks standout today, Dick's Sporting Goods climbing right now 13%. And let's say the retailers better than expected quarterly results and a potentially conservative guidance show consumer demand remains there for their stuff. Right now, the S&P 500 14 points lower. That's down 0.3%, 5150 on the index. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 90.
Man, guys,
points.
I need to like team
the
up
Nasdaq
with.
100, 29
Oh, let me see. These guys are probably talking
just about 0.2.
tunes. I need to team up with like this coffee. It's like a local coffee company here. Not company. It's like a family run. Like, how would you describe it? It is a farmer's market coffee, you know what I mean? Like a family shows up and they, at their farm, make their coffee, and it is good. Like, I want to team up with them and be like, can I get this everywhere? Because I've drank it black. A mom and pop, yeah, that's the way to say it. I drink it black normally, and I'm like, damn, this stuff is good. Like, it comes as the beans, you got to grind it up and that whole thing, but I'm like, damn, this stuff is good. And then today I was like, let me add some milk and sugar to this, see how it tastes. It is insane how good it is. I'm kind of pissed because I like my black coffee. I feel like I used to do intermittent fasting when I was a semi-pro soccer player and things like that, and I was trying to like thin out and things. But like just having it with milk and sugar right now is insane. Once you go black, you don't go back. Oh my God. We watched, have you guys ever seen Undercover Brother? We watched Undercover Brother the other day. My wife's never seen it. And I was like, you have to see it. It's like, it's so stupid and awesome. I love it. It's so good. One thing I like to do, by the way, is I like to clone stuff, see if it matches anywhere. Almost. We'll leave it there for funsies. Yo, J. Cole, it is so funny. Oh my God, it's like Austin Powers for black people, and I absolutely love it. Got to get funky. Hey, I love they make fun of us white people who love our mayonnaise. Like, God, it's so good. God, you guys, I have to. I'm gonna go. I'm literally gonna look at this bag and see if they can send you guys coffee, because it is so good. Even if they have like little tester packs they can send to you or something, it is so good, guys. Funny, working beautifully on Tesla. Yikes, dude. This is bad. Let's look at that volatility, see if that's coming off at all. I could come back down. Oh, on the weekly scale? I'll take a look at that in my free time, but this is really what I want to see here. If this volatility is going to last, are we going to make a higher low here and keep going up? That would be interesting. Google, solid move still. Coming up into that point of resistance, okay? So this is the point here where this could be a little bit worrisome, because the reason that I would be a little worried about a little bit bigger drop from Google here would just be because left head down here, right? And then right. I mean, this means sufficient liquidity to hold higher, but you really would hope this kind of carved out a little better, kind of like it did over here. Built up liquidity to get that drop. You want to build that up in here to get a big pop, but we'll have to see. Watch the dollar. The dollar in that flagging too. I don't like to move around my flags. It came out of it for a little bit there. Actually, let's see daily scale here. This is more what we need to pay attention to. Daily scale here. Dollar really ripping. Where you want to be worried, that crossover on the MACD coming pretty soon. This is overall kind of a channel, a flag at this point. We could head higher. Maybe we do head up to my price point, right? I said 105.65. I've had this up. Ever since we touched down here, I put this guy up and I said, hey, I think the dollar is going to start heading up. What the hell? Why isn't the SPY lower? Well, that's where the difference between the SPY and the Qs can come, or SPY and the VIX can come in. So there's two ways to read into this. Either the VIX, people are getting this wrong and people are getting scared for no reason. But we know PPI ticked up. There is a reason today to be scared. So it's either people are getting scared for no reason and this is just going to reverse by end of day, or the SPY is wrong and the SPY actually needs to be heading to lower levels. But right now it's not even breaking below the 5. Like this is not bad by any means, and the Qs are still like right at that 5. Like there's nothing crazy here. It actually bounced off the 20. Look at that. Look at that bounce off the 20. Oh my gosh, look at that bounce off the 20, guys. That's crazy. Look at bounce off the 20. That's all it is. Now we got to look. 15-minute. If you curl up, positive territory right above you. But if we start to break through this level, that's when you want to be like, oh, might be a little scary because the volatility's popping. Qs are going down. SPY, this just needs to curl back up. That's where the 20's at. You got to lose those bigger moving averages. Now the funny part about Nvidia is this, it sort of reminds me of yesterday where we dip down lower, we buy up, and then we kind of like slowly move down for a little bit and test that level again. That's kind of what's happening here. We pop up, now we slowly are moving down to test this level again. I wonder if we get the same reaction we saw and get that curling up. Now I would say this 15-minute for Nvidia, not the strongest move. Usually when you see that curl up on the 15-minute near positive territory, look what happens. Boom, right? We get a boom higher. This isn't necessarily a boom. So maybe this getting into negative is able to grab that liquidity, turn back up, but gotta be a little careful here. We have a few things that could get pretty damn bearish, right? We have the 2-hour that rejected on this bar with the sell signal here. So it's still up in the air at this point. But these are the indications you see when prices want to go lower, at least on the Nvidia side of things. That's what I would say. I'm still trading like water. I'm still willing to say if this wants to curl up in positive territory, I might even buy into it because I think people are putting on some puts. Michael Coleman, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Make sure all of you guys are subscribed in here. All of you guys are liking the video. Thank you guys so much for being here this morning. Edward, is it time to buy Tesla? I would not be able to tell you that, but I would say this is the bottom of the weekly expected move. The only thing about being at the bottom of the expected move on Thursday, you don't have that time left, right? You don't have that time left. So the risk going into a trade at the bottom side of a weekly expected move, if you are part of the Patreon, Edward. Sorry, I can't keep track of everyone that's part of the Patreon. But if you come into that weekly expected move and then you see that reaction, well, you got to think if that reaction is up to here, well, by next week, you'll have a new weekly expected move up like this. So you do have that potential for this to just be a bounce and then you come back down and maybe this one's the divergence you actually wanted to play. That's all I would say. Usually you want to use the weekly expected moves as profit taking later in the week as a trade setup earlier in the week. At least that's how I've seen success. So with Meta, I can say, hey, we're outside of it early on Monday. I can take a trade here. Okay, boom, this comes up. Now we're up in this area. Who's to say? We could still break through this and come right back down to here by Friday. And then the next week, so that's why I'm going to maybe even, some people just do this. They buy down here. If it hits there early, they sell in the middle. That's something that a lot of people do. I've seen people use these weekly ranges that way. It's not necessarily how I use them. I do that trade sometimes, though. Now, what I'm saying is now you have the potential for this to end on Friday, like down here, and now your risk range is here and here, which means this can just continue into next week. So you just want to be careful at the end of the week because you have the potential for these things to, close at lower levels of the weekly range and then keep going. When do you trade? I trade while I'm talking to you guys, and then I trade right after I hop off. So normally I'm hopping off because of dad duty and to focus on my trades. I just subscribed to the training material. Looking forward to learn more. Really appreciate that, Born Gunners. Really appreciate it. Come on in. I'd love to work with you on some stuff. And then at the same time, I'm going to tell you what I've been telling everyone, which is, make sure that if you are taking the course, you know that you can email me. It's perfectly fine. You guys can email me. You can reach out, ask questions, do all that kind of thing. But it's very good to get it on Thursday and Friday, so you have the weekend to kind of take it in. You can even maybe take it again every weekend, like once or twice. That way you know something's coming out. Also, as far as the course goes, there will be a new video added to the course. If you already have it, make sure that you check back on Sunday night. Tuesday and today I bought another option but now I want to sell it. Is that a day trade? Yes, it will count it as a day trade if you're buying the same position. So if you buy one contract today or one contract yesterday, let's say I buy, I don't know, let's just make it up here. If I buy puts on Meta today, right? But I also bought this same position yesterday, then that would just mean that I have two contracts as of right now. So if I sell it all today, they will count that as a day trade. Maybe it depends on the trading platform you're using, but most of the ones I've used, I don't day trade, so I don't run into that very often, but most of the ones I use count that as a day trade. I believe so. Why, are you worried about something? Is there a reason that you can't sell today? Is there something going on? Or you don't want to make a day trade on QQQ? The 439 level was a strong resistance, which became a strong support. It takes a big push for the Qs to drop way below that level. So 439 is what you're paying attention to. We just took that back, you're saying? I mean, this bar is good. This bar kind of saved you. Now you're able to hold up a little higher. You have potential for this to be a higher low. We can start to head higher. You can see the structure in here. Straight across, left, head. Maybe we make that right shoulder and this thing wants to burst higher. So the thing that would be very bullish here, I will say this would be very bullish. If we see all of this going on and we just sit here for a while, but by end of day, we creep up to like here, then you could say, oh my gosh, we might touch the top side of that weekly expected move on Friday. So that's something that could be bullish about those weekly ranges. A lot of the time, if you gravitate towards them on Thursday, you like consolidate in the morning on Friday, and then you just go touch them sometime in the afternoon. So what coffee were you drinking? I got to go find the bag, but it's a mom and pop. Yes, that's it. It's a mom and pop. It's just a medium blend, like a roast, and it's just so freaking good. I remember we went to the farmer's market like last summer, and we kind of bought the coffee as like a celebratory thing, but then we just ran out of coffee. But I had some really good trades over the last week, like really good. So we were like, let's bust out the nice coffee for a little bit. And it's just fantastic. It's just fan-freaking-tastic. I'm loving it. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. I'm chugging it. Ooh, SPY isn't dropping. Yeah, we can take a quick look at the SPY as well. This thing not wanting to drop lower. This is the only thing you're worried about here is the cup handle thing, right? That's all we're worried about here. No, stop that. Don't do it. Oh no. I hope you guys don't have that stuck in your head all day. How do we find the weekly range? Weekly range means 7 days. Technically, it'll be 5 by the time you calculate it. So if you wanted to learn how to calculate it, one, I give you a very easy way in my course to do it. Just so you know, N1, in my course down there, it's 50% off for this month. You get the weekly ranges, but you learn in depth how I see these and why these indicators are important. All kinds of stuff like that. But if you wanted to make your own ranges, you literally can look up how to do it. You can probably find the equation somewhere. Usually if someone takes my course and they go, hey, I still want to make my own ranges, I'm like, yeah, like, what's his name? Frank did that, and I just Gave him the equation. I gave him the equation. I gave him a little more. He seems very passionate, so we talked for a little bit. Recording Ulta? Oh my god, you're a psycho. It's earnings, bro. Guys, what do we talk about with that is a double top almost if I've ever seen one. 2 hour getting pretty high up there. Hey, risk to reward standpoint here. I'm kind of with you. That's what I would say. But I don't like to do earnings. I really don't like to. It's screwed me over too many times. But do you have the potential here? See, the problem with this is, like, if you get a good day, you could see this pop and get some kind of fading. You can see this pop up here, and this might ruin your option for a little bit. But hey, be careful with it. That's all I'll say. But yeah, the weekly range, technically you want to calculate it with 5 days. So 5 days till expiration. So, and then you want to calculate that before market, before even Monday. I would highly suggest doing that on Sunday. Every Sunday, just sit down, make your ranges. You can find it. Just look for the, I would type on Google maybe like expected moves calculation or something like that. But if you want to save your time, use some time every week, you can, if you trade the stocks that I cover and you trade the SPY and the Qs, you can just hang out with my Patreon and we talk about trade setups and that kind of thing every once in a while. I just give a little trade setup that I see. A potential good play is how I would put it. Now, I do tell my people to be very careful out there still, as we are in a time where volatility can increase. So we are like a week away from seeing this weekly range just start to get broken 1 week and then head lower. So I do think that this monthly will come into play at some point, but that might be very end of the month. If I make over 300%, we can have a fun play. Ah, yeah, Phantom. You're my style. That's my style right there. I made like 100% on almost every option play that I did over the last week, so I took that NVIDIA play. It's still my fun play, guys. We made the fun play at the beginning of the week. We're holding it. I don't care if I lose it. I'm holding it. Go a little deeper, go into a 15-minute. Make 1K this week. Cano! Congratulations, Cat. Good job. Well done. If Tesla breaks now, stop at 158. Well, Tesla, pretty much at this point, you want to pull up a daily and see where there's support, probably. So, as you can see, the reason that I have my support level here, I really like where this gapped up and then retested. And 154.78 kind of lines up with this low here. And then right here was where we tried to get like one little day of a bounce, and then we just dropped through it. So I kind of thought this point would be pretty important. You notice when we broke through it in the past, we saw a big explosive move. So this can hold up as support. Support and resistance, something we do cover in the course. So hopefully you guys like that. I would more likely say 154.78 is really where I'm leaning towards. Your pretty much last support here was right around that 163.96. Now you're probably looking for that 154.78 at this point. If it wants to keep going, remember it's below that weekly expected move. So if we do quickly get to 154, you could see a reaction on Friday. But nothing really here telling you this is good, right? So this is what we're talking about when you remain in that negative territory. Look at this. If anything, you could take this breaking of this bottom here. This was your fake out. This time it's real. Broke through this one as well. Well, now we're just keep going. So there's that negative trend really coming in. AMD still looking for this pop. We actually could get it in the next 30 minutes. I might leave this up on the screen here for just a little bit. Quick buck though, congrats, man. Yeah, that's the best way to put it, Phantom. Congrats, congratulations. We gotta celebrate the wins and we gotta learn from the losses. That's what we do. Celebrate the wins, be risk managed in our losses, and make sure that we're learning something from every single trade. But pretty good turnout today. Love having you guys here. I'm glad to hear a bunch of trades going pretty good for people. That's awesome to hear. If it's going bad for you, just reassess and get out there. Look for the next trade setup. Don't get hasty. Don't get emotional, anything like that. Just look for the next trade setup. That's the best thing you can do. And this is really what we want to pay attention to. See if anything's going to go on here. Bloomberg, cable damage caused internet outages across Africa. Fed gets more reasons to delay interest rate cuts. So that's what they're talking about today. So that's the narrative for today, is they have more reasons, which is 100% right. That is 100% right. Salutations, Gabo. Could Tesla go even lower? Yeah, I have that point of about 154 price point. 154.80 something, 154.83 I think. I'm a bear, LMAO. I only show up during corrections. Hey, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. If you're really good at when the market has more volatility in it, you can make a lot of money. A lot of money. So it's like if you're consistent and you just swing trade on the way up, you can make good money. If you're really good at, say, bear market volatility type stuff, you can get paid. You can be like Cano making $1,000 a week. If you're consistent, and you got to be willing to, you know, admit when you're wrong sometimes, because bear market can be very crazy. So you just got to make sure to be risk managed when you're doing it. But something we're still paying attention to. Seeing if Meta wants to break either direction. This is the thing. Consolidating like this in Meta for quite some time. I bet you money a big reaction is going to come out of Meta. And I really think this will be up, honestly, but that's just a thought, guys. Don't read into that. I'm just telling you a bunch of liquidity is bought up. You really just pay attention if we break through this and get like a closing bar one way or the other. Probably on like an hourly chart would be better. God, what's NVIDIA doing? Whenever someone comes in and just says like NVIDIA, I'm like, shh, scared. Oh, dropping to lower levels on NVIDIA. Okay. This is where the momentum starts to die out in the shortest time frames. We still have structure to come up, but we're starting to get more and more checkpoints to the bears here, guys. We're starting to see this 30-minute go a little deeper. Go a little deeper. The only reason that I'm hesitant to be like, oh yeah, NVIDIA's going to crash down now, NVIDIA's heading to lower levels, is because of AMD. AMD's already at that risk range right now. But remember what I said about, the end of the week. It's scarier at the end of the week because we could break down from here and then do this. That's why we want to be very, very cautious with it. I hope I said that on Patreon. I should double check that. But on Patreon, we also need to be very cautious here. Yes, you have the momentum dying out. You have a little bit of tapering after a big move down. This makes total sense. But you still need that actual reaction, I would say, by end of day today. If we break through this today, then you're just praying some good news comes out and you can get back up into this level. Because if this wants to break down, use as resistance, we can just keep that negative trend going. Look where we are. We're in negative territory. So, a couple things to pay attention to here, but I wonder, is anything else coming out today that can really change anything? No talkers, no speakers. Oh, we're getting that bill auction right now. 15-year mortgage rate 6.16, previous 6.22. 30-year mortgage rate 6.74, previous 6.88. That's what all just came out just now. And business inventory is sitting at 0%. So I don't think any of that news will really, don't think it would affect much. So let's close out of those. Actually, I'm going to leave my email up just in case someone else donates to the PayPal. Just so I make sure to say thank you. I always feel bad if someone donates and I don't say thank you. There is GTC the 18th. Yeah, so someone did come in and ask, and because Gabo's been talking about it, I knew. GTC the 18th. So the 18th is really what we want to pay attention to as well. The thing about that is the Fed going to hurt or help NVIDIA and these types of things out during that event or right after that event on the 20th? Is TikTok getting banned? I saw that TikTok, like someone from TikTok was in Congress and all that stuff. I watched some of that, but is it getting banned? I mean, I got rid of TikTok a while ago, and you guys know I was a TikTok star for a little bit. I had 250K followers. I was invited to do stand up in New York and Florida and go on those Fresh and Fit. Well, not Fresh and Fit, but one of those podcasts like Fresh and Fit. I was invited to that stuff, but I just realized, like, hey, these people are shitty, and I think TikTok. I think we're going to see a huge reaction where people no longer want to be social media stars and will have to be like trade type work, you know, like things that actually matter. Personal opinion. What was my channel? It was just like a comedy channel around alcohol because of my my app. I got downloads from there. And so I just made funny videos. I had that guy, like, what's his name? Two-Turn Tony. I was like Two-Turn Tony, but like funny instead of just doing stupid, ridiculous stuff. I was like, I would just say funny things. I made an infomercial. No, it's not still up. I made an infomercial. I'll tell you guys one of my TikToks. I like to make infomercials, you know, where it's like someone doing something and it's like grayed out. And I did an infomercial for a product because I thought it was a funny product. So I was like, this would be a funny video. It was a wine glass holder that was like magnetic and plastic, and you could stick it to your shower, like on the side. And so I was like, are you sick of spilling your wine all over yourself when you're trying to have that nice wine in the shower or something like that? And then I literally filmed myself in black and white in the shower and spilled wine like this with my shirt on. And I was just like, oh no, I spilled my wine. And I was like, you need this. And I made it super infomercially. It was really, really fun. I used to have a lot of fun with that stuff. And then I did another one for Mike's Hard Lemonade. And I was like, are you having trouble getting it up? I was like, then try Mike's Hard Lemonade. And then I had, you know, my wife in it too. And she was like, Luke, are you doing okay over there? And I was like, yep. And it showed, like, I put like the bottle in my pants. So it looked, you know, it's dirty. It was dirty, that one. It was pretty funny though. I was like, Mike's Hard Lemonade. It'll get you hard. There you go. There's that selling. There's that selling coming in. One day someone on the stream is going to be like, Lucas? The guy from TikTok? You're doing stocks? They're going to be so confused. This is what you want to see. This is more selling. This is more selling here. So there you go. And then Amazon flipping around too with a divergence up here. Good point to take a little trade on Amazon maybe. Boom. Let's look at that weekly expected move. Let's see if we have a few tick marks here. We got towards it. We didn't really touch it, but we got towards it. So Amazon's something you want to keep your eye on up here. This 15 minutes showing you that divergence. I really like a 30-minute one. You don't really have a 30-minute one. This could be a retest. I head a little bit higher. The 2-hour probably crossing over is your hint, like, yeah, this thing's going down at this point. So if this 2-hour crosses over one more time, boom, it's probably going lower. Probably going to break through this low, go make a new one. From there, you just have to say, bro, I saw your YouTube watch stream. I used to watch stream League of Legends as a kid, do stock analysis on Tesla. Bro, if you guys don't know this, let me tell you something. I was very into League of Legends. very into League of Legends. And now I don't get to play at all because, dad mode, but I was very into League of Legends, and let's just say there's a reason my daughter's name is Ari. It's kind of funny, but she looks like Ari, and I got to choose the name if it was a girl. Or if she's not it. She. So, Ari's the name. NVIDIA here, getting that selling coming in. This is looking very much so like a lower high at this point. My fun play is ruined. 4 hour turning down. All right, daily crosses might be game over. If daily crosses might be game over for NVIDIA here, we might see lower price. Now, the only bad part is we do have the Fed next week again. We're dependent on the data. So if they say anything that can be read as bullish, we can see a reaction down here and get this thing to go right back up. That's the sad part. We still have to be trading like water until we actually see like something really negative come out in the market and that to react. Because, I mean, why is this selling at this point? That doesn't mean market is in a bubble. Yeah, there's no way this is a bubble when it looks like Bitcoin. So there you go. There's your drop. If you close at this level, then you want to look out for maybe next week or tomorrow a test of the 20, right? The test of the 20 is kind of like where we've really held up in this move. If you start to break through the 20, that would be something different. We could head towards the bottom Bollinger. No way what, Edward? Might be chatting too much. And this is the problem. Now we're going to see some wicking up. So it's like, we start to see, this is where you want that to continue. Like, God damn it. This, you want that to continue down. No way, bubble? Bubble, no way. It's funny to see like what information media puts out on this type of stuff. Daniel Settles, thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate it, brother. Momentum stock share of S&P 500 swells to highest level in history, but that doesn't mean the market is in a bubble. No, it's just our GDP grew by $300 billion. That doesn't mean we're in a bubble. Oh, well, it cost $800 billion of debt to get there, but it still grew with $800 billion of debt. We grew by $300 billion. Can anyone be an analyst? I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm sure Tesla's in a bubble. Well, Tesla's breaking out of that bubble right now, then. Yeah, 1,300. Yeah, for sure. 1,300. It's still... The bad part about analysts is they could be right here. They could be right. Now, I would say 1,300 kind of a stretch. I'd say like 1,050 maybe. Maybe 1,100 is where I would go for the max. I would say 1,000 once it gets above there. A lot of people like to sell once you hit that $1,000 number. So SMCI, pull that one up. You'll see like the moments that we broke through 1,000 originally was here. Look what happened when you break through 1,000. Big sell-off. 1,000 is one of those round numbers. It's a big number that people like to get to. It's kind of like setting a goal. People are like, I want to hold this till it gets to 1,000. You probably hear that tons and tons and tons of times. I want to hold SMCI till it gets to 1,000. I'm going to hold till it gets to 1,000. Well, it gets to 1,000. What happens? It sells off. So NVIDIA hasn't got to 1,000 yet. It hasn't. It's just shy of it. But there's probably a bunch of people down here that bought, up here that bought, up here that bought that are saying, I'm going to hold till it hits 1,000. I'm going to hold till it hits 1,000. Then when it hits 1,000, it usually blows past it a little bit. And then that drops off. So that's just, I mean, it's speculation. But at the same time, you can't say a stock that is still above its 20 and still fighting at its 5-day moving average is bearish. You can't really say that. Now you can say momentum's dying out. Maybe a good time to take a certain position. But that doesn't mean that next week it can't go higher with that conference and that kind of thing. So you got to be a little cautious, but this is the first good signs. Apple's going down? Oh, look at that. Apple turning down. Not able to close above this level here. Remember, we said the closing above this level, very important to get to that zone. Unlucky. Now, the one thing I would say is you got the cup here. If this is some kind of handle, you can still head higher, but still pay attention if this base is taken out. Curling over that 2 hour. Okay, so you take out this base here. Freaking hiccups. You can curl over this 2 hour, and then you can get that 2 hour divergence maybe going on into next week or something like that, but you could see lower prices in Apple. So not necessarily what you want to see from Apple. Amazon still coming back down at this point. Tesla down, 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 down. We'll have to see if that wants to buy back up, but down, down, down right now. Nvidia down, down, down. But is that as dramatic as Tesla? Is that as dramatic as other stocks? Not necessarily. A 4% move really is like a regular day for Nvidia here. Pop up by 3%, pop down by 4%, pop up by 5%, pop down by 2%, up 2%, down 2%, up 2%, down 4%. So it's like, it's just regular movement at this point. AMD, this is really what you keep your eye on. Even the 15 here, this is going to maybe actually tell you if there's some strength left in the AMD and the Nvidias of the world. The reason that AMD is going to be a good indicator is because it's literally at the last point where it should hold up as of right now for the week. So you want to see that positivity going into Friday, see that head a little bit higher. We got to be patient. We got to wait. This is negative territory. Every single time this curls over, what do? We break the low. We see lower prices. Sure, it's a 15-minute and we're tapering at this moment. But for the most part, just want to see, can we do this? Or are we going to do this? So let's leave the Qs up for a little bit. I'm just going to leave it on the 15-minute here. We're going to see if this thing wants to roll up by end of day. Bunch of people joining Patreon, bunch of people checking out the course. That is so awesome. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for everyone that is contributing to this channel. Even if you're just liking and watching the videos, you are contributing to this channel. Oh gosh, yeah. Me and Frank have been emailing back and forth. I got to read that later. That's my ADHD. I see an email and I'm like, I have to click it. And then I'm like, no, I'm fucking streaming right now. All right, guys. So like, let's do what my old comedy live channels would be. All right, guys, $5. We're spinning this wheel. We have Chug Your Drink. Never Have I Ever. That's what we kind of used to do, and it was pretty fun. And I would play tunes. YouTube does not like when you play tunes. I played that Never Gonna Give You Up song for like, I rickrolled you guys for like 15 seconds, my whole video got demonetized. So I was like, yeah, god damn, YouTube's so strict. That's all right. I don't have those channels anymore. And I don't think they even, if they exist, they don't have videos on them. Because Twitch, they time out over time. So if you stream it on Twitch, I used to do like fundraisers. Edward, bye! Have a good day, Edward. Have fun, you know, drinking blood, Edward from Twilight. That's who you are to me. You're Edward from Twilight. You should change your name to Edward Collins. My wife made me watch Twilight, and we laughed I laughed the entire time I watched that movie. I was like, the acting is so terrible. The lead actress is not cute. She is not cute, guys. In my opinion. Hey, we'll say my opinion, right? But yeah, that was very interesting. Yeah, Bitcoin 70K. It really took me by surprise. I'm going to be honest. Bitcoin really took me by surprise. This big move up here, but look at that wick. So now you're starting to see the first weekly bar that has some weakness in it. Now you still have the weekend and things like that. See, doesn't that suck? Like, my wife makes me watch Twilight. I make her watch Undercover Brother. Like, not fair. Undercover Brother's dope. Twilight, not so much. All right. Well, yeah, this is a parabolic move. The last time we got this far outside of that weekly Bollinger and things like that. Last time we got this far outside on the RSI, well, we were up at that high over here. We were actually at this level right here. You'll notice we pulled back to the 5-day moving average, and guess what? We pull back, we go up even higher. So I would just say the fact that it's out here, I could definitely see a pullback to the 5. Maybe see a little bit more positivity come in. But if you start to lose that, you're just going to keep breaking down over time. Oh yeah, save. You did mention save earlier. Let's take a peek. Spirit, another business that actually I know someone who is like freaking third in command at Spirit. This looks very bad. I need to talk to him about his stock because it looks like ass. Oh god. Okay, so the one thing here, this is a daily chart, believe it or not. This looks almost like a 30-minute chart at this point, especially this right here. This looks like the VIX when volatility gets sucked out of the market. That's really, really bad. Curling over on the 2. This is just dramatically going down really, 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 really fast below a lot of points. You can look weekly scale. I would say this might be if you think this will turn around, if you're willing to take a stab at it, you know, an investor might look at this, but other than that, this looks like crap. Vampire Diaries, don't say that in the chat. Sometimes she watches the stream, guys. Don't say Vampire Diaries. She told me that's like her favorite thing ever. She'll make me watch it. You guys, wait, she's hot now? What's her name? Who's the Twilight lady's name? Kristen? Kristen? That it? Okay, I mean... Okay, you guys... She looks better, but it looks like eye makeup is the only thing that we really added here. All right, let's see. No.
Important security message. Your computer has been locked up.
No.
Your IP address
Who made me click on
your
stuff?
knowledge or consent to visit websites
Who made me click on
identity
stuff?
theft virus. To unlock the computer, please call support immediately. Please do not attempt to shut down or restart your computer.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I look at one picture of Kristen Stewart. Now I have my whole computer infected. And has girlfriends. Hey, that's cool. I bet she is super cool. I'm not saying she's not cool. Just personally. You know what it is? It's because my wife is so hot. I clicked on a picture of Kristen Stewart, and then a virus thing started to pop up on my stuff. Oh, I'm not saying she's not cool. I bet that girl's dope. We'd probably vibe. Oh, why do I have this up still? Bro, I clicked on a picture of Kristen Stewart. I'm not looking at stuff while live. That would be stupid. But I'm just saying, Kristen Stewart just tried to give me a virus. No, I bet she is super cool. Like, I'm not saying she's not. And I would say this. I made fun of her acting. I made fun of all the acting that was in those Twilight movies. It did get better over time. Like, the acting did get better. Except for the wolf guy, he always just seemed like fake, but I really liked him when he was in wolf mode. If it goes down till GTC, you have the potential for some kind of bigger bounce. I don't think it will. I think people will buy into that rumor. I actually think we could base out right here. But I'm still paying attention to that downside. It's not looking pretty for NVIDIA today. But we did tell you guys, like, even though it's not looking prettier in the short time frame, all we're doing is we're trying to see if today we want to close below or above the 5-day moving average. Who's to say? This thing by end of day could just boom like that, and then we could be above it. We could go to 1,000, but that's likelihood of that right now, not the best unless we see some structure on the way up. Virus. Good thing is they told me not to shut down my computer, not to close out on the link, and make sure to click on this thing. And I'm like, what's her new movie? Love, Lies, Bleeding. Well, I'm scared to click on anything now, so I might have to wait to click on anything till I'm done streaming. Oh, Argentinians, huh? Hey, that's cool. That sounds fun, Sophia. Oh gosh, you know that my wife is Ecuadorian and Argentinian. That's right. So because she's Argentinian, I think you guys say, como se dice bug? Like, how would you say bug? Because I'm pretty sure how she says bug, she gets in trouble here with like Mexicans, because when she says bug, it's like she's saying a bad word. Well, I have virus stuff on my computer, and it didn't give me a virus. It was trying to get me to click on the next thing to give me a virus, guys. Okay. Yerba mate. I don't think I've heard that. Bicho. That's it. Bicho. She says that, and apparently it's a bad word for the different Spanishes, the different slang and things like that. No, you're good, Sophia. We do not care. As long as you're trying to speak English, that's half the battle there. But I didn't even notice that you weren't speaking English well. You did a good job. Ask her about. Well, she told me the story. She's just not here right now. It's an herbal tea. Oh, you were talking about the yerba mate. She's a big tea fan. We used to have tea time. I think Cubans say bicho too. Yeah, she said it, and she got like in trouble at work or something because she said it. And she was like, "No, I'm just saying there's a bicho right there." And then they were like, "No, stop saying it." And she goes, "What are you talking about?" Do I speak Spanish? No. If people are speaking Spanish like in conversation in front of me, I can tell what they're talking about and like respond in English and sometimes in Spanish, but to say that I speak Spanish, I'm way off of that. I need to learn Spanish though. So if anyone knows a good way to actually learn Spanish, like one of the courses or something, I need to learn Spanish because I can't have the rest of my life I'm gonna be with me and 2 women because of my daughter. So they're both going to speak Spanish. Their abuela speaks Spanish. So it's like, I don't want to be the one person not speaking Spanish. They can talk crap on me. Watch movies, really well in Spanish. That's a good idea. I know my brother was pretty good at Spanish, and he listens to Spanish music. That's what helps him. I just got into Google today. Bad idea if everything starts to fall with NVIDIA. I mean, it could be. It's relative. I can see the inclination. I can see why you would buy Google. I would say this isn't the worst time. This can see more upside. I would just say if this does see upside, be a little bit careful going into the 20th of next week. They lost the merger. Oh my gosh, guys, we just have so much stuff happening. Like we have SpaceX rockets exploding, we have mergers going down, we have PPI ticking up. And at the end of the day, Google goes up. But yeah, for a swing trader, this would look great. Like I actually should have paid attention to this. This is a very good swing trade. Actually, we mentioned this coming up to this area when we were down at these levels. We mentioned this coming up and trying to test the trend, see if that's a lower high, but we just blew kind of past that. We saw that resistance for a moment. We gapped above it today. So not the worst thing in the world. I would just be a little bit cautious because if I was getting into this move, I would have got in at this price point of 136. And by the time I'm up to this level, actually probably by the time I'm here, I might even be out of that move. But you can also just ride it. You can ride it, see if this thing wants to go higher, see if that dips back down. Short term, short term, you're looking at a bunch of divergences on the 30-minute at the level you're at. This just tells you may need consolidation before heading higher, but this is a pretty good move. It can keep going. Your positive territory. So every single time this guy rolls down, look for it to roll back up. That's all you got to pay attention to. As long as that keeps rolling back up, you're pretty safe, but just be careful once you get really close to that center line, because if that rolls down, this could get ripped away. Something you can learn about in the course, a lot to do with that center line, how good it is. Oh, look at that perfect retest. Amazon. Perfect retest right there. Look at that. We come out of this bull flag here, come down, boom, get the retest. Let's see if we can head higher here. Good shot. I mean, you're kind of creating a cup right in between these highs. Maybe this is going to be your handle. Maybe we do have a big move in Amazon coming. I mean, it's possible. It just doesn't look very good considering VIX is going up, Nvidia is rolling down. Let's actually look at the VIX, by the way. Let's keep an eye on this. 30 minutes, still looking pretty strong. Maybe we go down to a 15. You just see it's a little overextended. We could see some bullishness come back into this market today. Which at this point, with the SPY not dropping down, maybe the VIX is actually an overreaction. Because really, if the VIX is up that much, you want to see the SPY coming down, testing some levels here. Is it possible to put coin in there? I would say this with coin. I've tried to do it before, Tony. I really have. I noticed through testing it for a few weeks, because I was like, oh, if the weekly ranges work for coin, it fluctuates a lot. We could see big moves because it's pretty correlated with Bitcoin. That's the problem, though. It's correlated with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is so psychotic the way it moves. I tried to do risk ranges for like Bitcoin ETFs. It just doesn't end up working out as well as you would want it to. So when you're really wanting to trade things like coin, you really just want to see Bitcoin and be like, okay, what do I think Bitcoin's going to do over the next 3 months? And maybe you take just a longer out position. I know it's kind of more boring that way, but it gives you the potential there. If you take something 3 months out, hey, if this thing drops suddenly, I can get out in the first week of my 3-month option. And then if it goes down gradually over time, you could be like, okay, I can get out of this in a month, 2 months. And then also if it goes up higher, it's not going to crush you. Premium on that. Bought at 21 and sold at 28 and went to Google. That's a good little trade there. What'd you say, 21 to 28? Hey, solid sale today. Solid sale, 28. What a good sell by you. Congratulations. That is so good. 2 hour crossed over. Perfect timing on that sell. Great job. Great job. That is so awesome. I love to see when someone's got a good trade going. See the SPY. Okay, so let's talk about this. The volatility is kind of going up, right? The volatility going up by 6% in a day. Not something you want to, delete from your brain. You want to keep that in your mind. But the problem here is, look at this 30-minute. It's just now at negative territory, but it's right at that center line. And we haven't really broken down with that volatility coming in. So that could tell you this actually can scoop up. So just be careful here, right? Now, if this wants to continue down, I would just look at this 2 hour actually fully going negative. But we can get one more trap and this can stay confirmed. It's happened plenty of times, right? We've seen all these divergences. No bad news comes out. We curl right back up. But that was a great play, Sophia. Well done. See the VIX. I'm worried we're going to top out here and actually see this start to fade. And this is some kind of just overreaction. Yeah, this could be people piling on, taking out their call, but piling on puts at this point. Let's see what's going on. Actually, some calls leaking into the market here on PCC. I like to see what CPC's got for us. See, that readjusted today. Look at that. That readjusted today. That pisses me off a little bit because it said that the CPC was actually like way up here last night. So that kind of pisses me off. I need to make sure make sure I'm looking at that correctly. That makes me angry. I hate when I do a bad job of like looking at something. So really pay attention to this 30-minute. This is not dramatic selling by any means. See, guys, I get frustrated with myself too. Thank you for answering the question. Yeah, and so the way I would do it is if you want to see if coin is going to be volatile, try to do some more pattern and daily or 4-hour divergence on Bitcoin. Look for that big drop or a big move up if that's whichever direction that you're getting the analysis for, or whatever the analysis is telling you, whatever your technicals are telling you. Then you can use coin as a way to do like an option play. Because if you try to just do a weekly range on coin, I've seen it violate that range so hard before. Danny, we might have been talking about you. We have someone from Argentina in here, Sophia, and so I let them know about that one time you got in trouble for calling a bug a bicho. And then also we were talking about Kristen Stewart, and she almost gave me a virus on my computer. Someone said she's hot now, so I went and checked. And she almost gave me a virus because I clicked on a picture of Kristen Stewart on Google Images. But it's all good now. We didn't listen to them. We didn't they said do not close out of this link. Do not turn off your computer. I was like, I'm closing out of the link and I might turn off my computer. Junior from the Dominican Republic, what's up? And then Vampire Diaries was someone said, oh, you should try if you watched Twilight, Vampire Diaries is better. And I said, do not mention that because sometimes she comes by the stream and she's gonna make me watch Vampire Diaries. And then of course you come to the stream and you read about Vampire Diaries. And now I'm assuming you're like, we could watch it. Yeah, see? Yeah. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot. All right, SPY holding up at higher levels here. Look for that curl over. AMD, that's one that we need to watch now. This is still something we really want to keep a close eye on. So let's keep an eye on that. I'm going to go for about, let's do 10 more minutes here. 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to hop off. So I'm gonna do 10 more minutes. We'll just see if there's any reaction before that 10 minutes. If we don't get one, well, that's okay. We're gonna break down all these stocks and see what could happen by end of day. Mainly just going through some maybe 30-minute charts to really see that direction. See if anything kind of gave us some direction for the day. Right now, it looks like some downside direction as of right now, but Tesla finally seeing a green 30-minute bar. Look at that. It finally happened. Wild Tales, 1985. Danny, write these down. I love that your channel is still the terrible gamer girl. Are your videos still up, Danny? I gotta watch those today. Are the videos I made you still up for writing them down? I haven't had mate in so long, I miss it. So you have had it? I think so. I need to watch those videos again. Those crack me up. Those are the funniest thing ever. All right, I'm gonna go over here, just pull up my email real quick. Today the 14th? It is the 14th. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Look at a few things just really quick. Let me look at a few things here. Okay. Looking good. Looking good. Duolingo? I think my friend does that. Please, NVIDIA, make a bounce, Mohammed. I got you. NVIDIA, bounce for Mohammed. And if he makes a ton of money, he will do work in his community to make it a better place. I promise. There you go. You're committed now. So if you got a bounce, now you have to help out the community around you if you make a bunch of money. Sorry, it's the only way for NVIDIA to get a bounce. You gotta give something back at the end, you know? Big drop on EOD. Oh, dear Lord. What? Oh, really? That's a little cheap for us. We could look at like Sound Out or something like that, but... Oh, end of day? You think it's coming? Well, I mean, you have some arguments to have here, right? 30-minute curling over, negative territory, this MACD behavior. You have plenty of room down to the downside. Makes total sense. The coming up and filling of this gap and then dropping lower would make total sense. I get you. Meta looking for a direction here. Let's just keep this on AMD just for a little bit, guys, just for a little bit. And then I want to see if the SPY or the Qs start to go positive, curl up that 30-minute by end of day. Michael? What do I think about Michael? Is that what you're asking? Michael Burry? I think that Michael Burry is probably an infinitely smarter man than myself, and he probably does uses the stock market completely different than I do. Okay. Not only Muhammad, but Aaron also said that he won't help out his community, but he'll at least plant a tree. So if you can, please make Aaron make a little bit of money so you can plant the tree, but helping out the community might be more important. So Muhammad, become a millionaire tomorrow. I wish NVIDIA to fall. Shoot! Now we just did all those vibes to get it to go up, and now you want it to fall? Well, it's falling right now. Coin moving against Bitcoin. I might go look at coin. Let's see what's happening here. Now, when you do the research on Bitcoin and like coin together, they're actually bouncing at the same time on the 30-minute here, but you really want, like, usually Bitcoin makes the first reaction, then coin follows. So it would be interesting if coin actually made the first move, like higher, and Bitcoin started to drop. This is madness. Yes, I totally agree with you. I do agree. If you've been part of this channel, we definitely think we're in for a crash. We're in for a big correction here. But I would just say we have to pay attention to the shorter time frames at this level. Just because it can really just bounce back and forth. We've seen so many traps. Yeah, that's cool. That's a good move. I used to do that back when I traded like Bitcoin and stuff. A little bit. I just stay away from it for the most part. I've seen a little bit more success with my trading style on, you know, the overall stock market, some of the big 7 or mag 7 or whatever. All right, guys, 6 more minutes to like the stream, 6 more minutes to hang out here for the day. Is AMD going to get a reaction? What do you guys think at the weekly expected move, or is it just consolidating to crash down tomorrow? What do you guys think is going to happen with AMD? Because I think this will have some weight on which way actually NVIDIA goes this time. This is kind of telling us this is all that's priced in. You neither buy nor sell in this environment. If you're good at it, I've been trading back and forth, but I'm pretty confident once things get pretty wonky. So I made money on this move, made money on this move, made money on this move, made money on this move. This one right here, I really didn't make a decent amount of money here. I don't know. It was just like the stock that I played for this bounce in the Qs just kind of didn't. It's not like it didn't go well. It's just like a break even. Well, that's the thing. Like people think like, someone mentioning, hey, the stock market most likely will crash like 6 months ago. It's like, yeah, they say that, but you have to pay attention to what they say in between. They're like, no, you still see the signals, but if we keep going up, if we keep getting that positive news, we'll keep going. If we keep getting that bullish sentiment, we'll keep going. It just means the higher and more time it takes, the higher, boom, the bigger elevator move down. Hey, I believe in you, Born Gunners. We're rooting for all you guys. We want everyone to do the best, and if you have to take a loss, that's okay. Just know there will always be another trade. There will always be another trade. There is so many stocks out there. There is always another trade, guys. Whenever I get the gut feeling of, oh crap, I'm usually getting out of my trade. Hi, for you. Thank you, Ax. Appreciate that. Thanks for coming into the channel today, Ax. I don't know if I've seen you in here before. Maybe you're one of those lurkers. Is that what they call them? Lurkers? Or if this thing is just a big flag at this point. I mean, it's not doing anything crazy. Yeah, we can look at Baba. We haven't looked at Baba actually in a long time. Alibaba. On the daily scale, this is something to pay attention to. Still below that 200, so we have this wonky price action, right? We're kind of stuck in a range, so investment-wise, you'd say break of the range to the top side, maybe break of this to the downside. You can come test this low. I just say this curling over, if that goes negative, you're starting to lose a bunch of moving averages. The probability of this breaking down, you probably want to look at like a weekly scale or something. It's hard to do in the short time frame because this is just wonky price action, but if weekly, nothing really to tell you here besides the rejection off the 20. Again, you're getting a lot of rejections off the 20. We want to try a shorter time frame. You can usually try a 2 hour. The thing you can notice about the recent price action. Okay, let's take this level here. When we get up to this level here, we curl over. Oh, sorry. This is something like trading a range, right? So when we curl over, we hit the bottom side here. Okay, so then we curl up. What do? We go test that high. We curl down. What happens? We go test this bottom here. We curl back up. We test the top here. So it's the same as over here. This time you just dipped a little bit further down into this. Now, if I pull up a 30-minute, we can probably find a trade in the past that you could have taken, which is going to be right here. This is actually your good trade right before this big bounce, okay? This is a very, very good trade right here. You get that first divergence right here. You get a second divergence right before, it confirmed right before this big gap up. Boom, this bar right here is actually where I would come into this play. Now, this is below the 200, little sketchy to take, but turns up into positive territory with triple divergence. Very, very steep. Good move there. So I would just look out for like little 30-minute divergences at this top side of the range, at the bottom side down here, because that might be able to help you out. But it's just not really making those for you very well. Looks like when the 30-minute just goes positive, you see positivity. That might be how you could play it, but Baba not looking strong, looking very, very, very weak. How can I take your trading course? It's online. It's in the description down below. It's the third link in the description. It will teach you about the risk ranges. It'll teach you about, why the MACD is important, go in depth of how I view things on the MACD, RSI, support and resistance, even some risk management. We're actually adding a video on there this weekend. So this weekend I will be adding a video about a little bit more extensive about when to get out, kind of when to know like, hey, I need to take the loss here, because that is a very important topic. I can tell you when I use this strategy, the only real times I took a loss was if I got greedy and I got out. I tried to get out, like tried to make more money than what I pretty much told myself I'm going to make when I got greedy. And when things really bottomed out and I tried to use it in a bull run. You do not want to use that strategy in a bull run, but the other things you learn in the course will teach you how to use these indicators in a bull run. So very, very useful across the board. have a strong position in BABA too, but for longer. Yeah, see, I think BABA, if you are going to take a position, like mainly I went into a 30-minute for like options plays maybe, but anything that's way beat down below the 200, you should be looking at as an investor. You should be looking at as like, hey, I want to hold this for a long time. And yeah, make sure to think about grabbing that core. If you guys are thinking about it, you have till the end of the month to decide before it goes up. Right now it's 50% off, so very, very cheap. Like I said, I want it to be affordable for everyone. 200's as high as it's going to go, but right now it's $100. And the thing is, like, I just don't want it to be that thing that's it's $1,000 to take the course. It's like, no, a lot of trading depends on you. It depends on how you handle your emotions. If you're willing to actually follow the strategy to a T, take profit when you're supposed. There's a lot of things that really depend on you, and so making it cheaper is making it more available to people so that everyone can learn, everyone can afford it. Even someone who comes in with that and you know buys it for $100 and has $1,000 to their name, they can come in and make money with it if they follow things to a T, if they follow their gut at certain times, if they just really pay attention to the signals and don't get overzealous. Don't think you're going to learn one thing about the MACD and then know everything about the stock market and then buy a call option and then get lucky the next day. That's not what we want to see. We want to see good behavior out there. Trading in the stock market. NVIDIA getting a little bit of a pop higher. Really want to see this 15-minute dip pretty deep down into negative territory, okay? But we talked about the fact that it might need to come lower to find some liquidity. 2 head higher. Now you want to see to the bear side, if this rolls up in this channel, does it get rejected at this level? Because that would tell you, hey, this is rolling over, solidifying the negative trend on the 15-minute. Then you just need to see if the higher time frames are doing that. If this is heading up, you really want it to come up to this level. You want it to break through, get some kind of right shoulder, grab some more liquidity here, and then get that left head right shoulder. That would be very, very useful as a trader on the way up. NVIDIA in the 1 hour is forming a higher low. That very well could be happening. As you can see here, boom, boom, boom. We could be forming that higher low. Maybe something we need to do is like connect a few things, see if we can come up with anything. Like we say, you know, people ask me about how do you know what to draw and things like that. Remember, we said this yesterday. Just draw out your ideas. That's what you do. You draw out your ideas, and if it makes sense and it like looks good, don't try to make it make sense, right? So you'll notice right away, what did I do? I take the bottom of the wick, I go with this one, I say, hey, yeah, this could be higher low, but it's not coming down and touching it. I really would like it to come down and touch it, but actually the fact that if we do have a trend actually going on here and we don't touch it, that's actually a slightly bullish sign because you're holding up even higher above the trend, so we can start to head a little bit higher. And then the other thing, you just keep drawing ideas. That's what I overall encourage you guys to do. Draw your ideas and see if they make sense. Like this here, I was seeing if we're in like some kind of upward channel. We very well could be a little bit, but it doesn't really make sense to have these lines on here. The ones that we have on here are the most important. Boom, you have a flag. Boom, you have the base. If you break through the base, that's bad. If you break through the top of the flag, that's good. So it's kind of like bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish. Keep it real simple. As soon as I can, I'll probably take it. All right, Sophia, just keep me updated. Okay, good. And if you run into a problem, Sophia, because you're notifying me about this early, if that problem does not resolve itself, just talk to me. All right. If it gets resolved, great. That's awesome. Go take the course. It'll be great. And then if it like doesn't say by, you know, next month or something, you're still waiting for it, you know, just chat with me. Ooh. Oh yeah, we can. Mr. Spock. All right, so good thing about this one. I'm just going to tell you this right away. I don't have weekly ranges on this. You know, you guys know that my trading strategies, I really like to have my weekly ranges, but One thing I will say about this one right here, you have flatness on the MACD or on the RSI down here, a little bit up on the RSI for some divergence. You have a 30-minute divergence, pretty good right here on the MACD. And it is on the RSI at the same time, okay? So if you can see down here, it's just a little bit up here, but kind of flat. So this means you can get some kind of reaction. So from there, I want to just peek at a 2-hour for you. Okay, so now you have also possibly a 2-hour double bottom with this divergence down in here. Looks like it holds pretty good on the RSI as well. So you do have the potential for a bounce here. Be a little bit careful of this base, okay? So even though you have divergences, this could be some quick pop and drop because you do have this base that's pretty important. You have structure to head down. Where that pop could go to, just draw out your ideas, man. You got to draw out somewhere where you can say, okay, there I would be comfortable getting out of the position. So if you do get a solid move, look for a lower high. That's what I would say. Look for a lower high around this area. But solid look, man. 30-minute, 2-hour, solid look down here. You just got to be a little cautious in the environment, but yeah, snow we've been peeking at almost every single stream. Some snowflake going on here. This guy here really dropped off. We were talking about this one catching up to the 5-day. You'll notice we kind of just rode it until we actually caught it. This is actually very, very, very unique. Usually you don't see just downward, downward, downward after some kind of green. Usually you want to reconnect or kind of go sideways. We kind of barely went sideways and then just start dropping again. I would say snowflake. As far as investment side goes, if you really do your analysis on the stock itself and you say this area and here, any number in here is a good area to invest, I'd agree with you. I really would. I would say, you know, we hold up from this area a lot. Maybe we could drop all the way down to like 130 or something like that. But as far as scaling into an investment, if you really do like the stock, if you've done your research, yeah, I have no problem with that. See, we're not getting that strength out of NVIDIA. Kind of worrisome. All right, guys, let's go through all the stocks that we do cover on this channel while NVIDIA is starting to get another red bar here. Let's go through the SPY, just look at some 15-minute charts here. Yes, we are selling off. Are we selling off dramatically for the SPY? No. Now, we could be completing that cup. This could be our handle, and we could start to see that head lower, so really pay attention to what goes on if we start to break through this level. But if this 15-minute just curls up, gets into positive territory, guess what? We can do that cup and handle just the other way. So we still have to be open to both scenarios at this point, but it is looking a little bit more bearish today. But this is only down 0.41%. That's not too crazy. The Q's similar thing, only down 0.4%. Holding up in our little trend line here. This is why we draw out ideas and things like that, because I drew this up this morning. It was just like, let me just connect these to see if I need a point to look at throughout the day. Guess what? It gave me a point to look at. We got a reaction from it. Now we're dropping back down. We have to see if this is a cup and handle to head lower, or if this 15-minute is going to curl back up. So we want to see what happens with this. Still kind of can go both ways. And the reason it can go both ways, by the way, and right now it's leaning towards the bears, right? You're in negative territory on the 15-minute. The 15-minute is leaning towards the bears until this crosses back up and gets into positive territory. Be very clear. But to be honest, you know, we started the day out here. We're right here right now. We really haven't gotten solid direction. You can get to receive an email to validate my account for receiving the email. Here, let me finish this and then we'll talk about that. I'll keep that in mind, Born Gunners, because it should be working right away. Apple on the 15-minute, we just want to pay attention to the top here and the bottom here. Once we break this, we'll have some direction. Once again, this could be a cup with a solid handle because this was a strong move, so you could get a strong handle here, like a deeper handle, right? So pay attention to that going forward, but really just a break up or down. Ronnie Ray, thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate you being here. But yeah, look for that break of the top, break of the bottom here. That's really what I would say on Apple. You do still have a good chance to get back up into this zone as far as tomorrow goes. But Amazon going forward, noticing some divergence forming with this high on the 15-minute, okay? So the 15-minute here, you know I like my 30-minute ones. Not a lot of divergence going on up here. This could be retesting. We mentioned that when we saw this big move. Hey, we could still get some retest, right? Digest a little bit. We get that retest going. Boom. Now are we flagging to start to head lower? That's where you want to pay attention if we get into negative territory. Back to the coal mine I go. Hector, thanks for joining. Thanks for your comments. I know we were watching the SPY on your end. You were updating us on the SPY a bunch, so I really appreciate you coming in today. But the thing to notice with Amazon, positive trend. So if we cross on this MACD at any time, whether it drops and then comes back up, positivity can continue, okay? Keep that in mind. Once you get to negative, that's something we'll talk about. Tesla in negative, this is what we're going to talk about right now. Tesla in negative territory on this 15-minute, no divergence, nothing like that. So any bounce that we do get here, be a little cautious. Even though we have those divergences, you still need that to be proven, right? That needs to prove itself because this can just keep continuing that negative trend. Look at that crossover in negative territory. You think it's over? You think it's oversold? Nah, man, hold my beer. It's selling off even more. Coming down into that price point. 161.80 was the low here. Double top on NVIDIA on the 2 hour. We'll have to take a look at that right now. Let's see. On the 2 hour, I don't know if I necessarily see a double top here, but you know, everyone sees things differently. I would just say this is where you have to be cautious because this got us into negative territory on the 15-minute. Now you have the potential for the 30-minute to get into negative territory. So now you could say, as far as right now, NVIDIA is in a negative trend, even on the 30-minute. Doesn't mean we don't have a way to break back up to the upside, okay? This could be our left head, right shoulder, yes. So we could see this start to break down. That's why I have two very important things here. I have the bullish and bearish case kind of here. If we break through this base down here, bad things. If we break up to here, good things for NVIDIA, okay? So all we have to do is really look. This would be a tick up for the bears at this point, at least on the 30-minute, because we're in negative territory. We can continue this sell-off in negative territory. Now I'll just show you the bullish way we would head up. We got this left, we come down, we grab some liquidity in here for our head, and then we see that break to the upside, get that retest, and what that would do is, look at that head and shoulders that could pop up, okay? So we have to be aware of both scenarios here. Both scenarios are good for NVIDIA still because we already pulled up the daily. Is this dramatic selling? Well, this could go and test the 20, but really it seems like still a fight for the 5-day. So want to see if that's able to buy back up by end of day. Maybe even go green. We'll have to see. So pay attention to that as we move forward. Maybe join us back on YouTube later to see if we can get some info on that. Going into the 30-minute on AMD, probably the most important thing to watch as it starts to break down. Okay, so this is where red flag has to be going off a little bit. Okay, you broke through and you do have the potential for this divergence. If you start to violate this area right here on the MACD, be very, very careful. We have divergence here. We have divergence forming here. Gotta wait for that to actually cross. Meta's about to explode. We're going to go over that in just a split second here. But you notice that I would just say be very careful here. But if this positivity can come in, we're still seeing that tapered selling at this point. Now we did hold up a little bit higher on this selling here. So it's starting to taper even more, right? We're starting to go a little bit even more sideways at this point. And so it can base out. It can. But I'd just be very cautious. This also might be a play. You know, this might be a play where it's like, you know, be greedy when people are fearful on AMD. You could make that argument. I would just really wait for this to actually confirm before I even try to take this trade. We are outside of the weekly expected move. We do close up here 68% of the time. So take that into account and wait for this to cross and then find that move if it's going to actually happen. And that will affect NVIDIA most likely if AMD sees some strength. Now, Meta, yes, Meta is in for a very strong move. Is that going to be up? Is that going to be down? As of right now, it's still right in the center line. It's a 15-minute, okay? This is a 15-minute. You're seeing a bunch of wonkiness here. You're in a range. If you break to the upside, big move up. If you break to the downside, most likely big move down. Hopefully no fake outs or anything like that. I want to just look at a 30-minute on this and show you it's still like just barely into positive territory, right? So be a little careful. on the 30-minute, though, you'd have to say, hey, this was a great move up. Now we are starting to consolidate. It's even starting to get a little bit tighter, so we could see a big move coming. And the 30-minute would tell you, hey, I'm in positive territory. Little tick up for the bulls on Meta. But if this just rolls over for 2 bars, breaks through this low, you're going to head lower. So little bit of an edge to the bulls here, maybe. Like a big maybe on that. We'll go through Microsoft. I know some people were asking about Microsoft. Break to the upside. We were kind of talking about this as some kind of like almost Wyckoff distribution, but seeing if it's going to break this or seeing it's going to break this, it broke this, and now we're getting that upward move. I would just say it might need to digest for a little bit before heading higher. Market top, GT cuts, calling it. It's calling it right now. Google, just some divergences up here on the 30-minute. You're going to see a bunch of those. This is a great move, though. You're breaking through where you could have made your next lower high. So the fact that we could start to see this, come down, we could see this digest for some time and keep going up. The daily did cross on this and everything, so we can see some positivity come in. If this is going to head lower, most likely 2-hour would have to roll over. But this is great. This is actually really good for Google on the 2-hour. It is. When I tell you guys like, hey, this needs to it'll either roll over on the 2-hour or remain in positive territory. Look at this. It's just remaining. It's remaining the whole time, which allows you to get further into positive, which means more likelihood of just getting that nice ebb and flow in positive territory. So any kind of turnaround on the 2-hour can be bought back up, and we could see some kind of ABC move in Google. A solid play, but that might take some time to fully fill out. Netflix, break to the upside. What did we say this morning? We literally covered this morning. Break to the upside. Where should we pay attention? Well, 620.83. Where do we touch? High on this, 620.94. So 620.83 was our point to pay attention to. Just in case we were going to get rejection, we got that rejection. A lot of I read some stuff about the India markets, and it looks like they really are suffering right now, but a ton of money pouring in, you're saying, so that's good. It looks like some people finding some investments on that side of things. But as far as that goes, that's pretty much the full breakdown. The VIX here. Okay, the VIX is still trending up at this moment, but we're not seeing that dramatically, that price action come down in the SPY, unless I missed something in the last 15 minutes here. Yeah, still down only 0.42. So even though we're seeing this big reaction, and this is actually bearish, guys. I want to say that. We have the potential for bearishness to come in if this starts to go positive. But this could just be retesting some levels to then break down again. Okay, so what I want to see is on the hourly here. If this hourly curls back over, I'd say maybe even a 30-minute. If this 30-minute can curl back over. The thing that we were notifying you guys about with the volatility was 30-minute divergence this morning. We mentioned it right before it exploded. 30-minute divergence down here. 30-minute divergence gets into positive territory. Very good sign for volatility to remain. If we keep going, if we can keep going for a little bit longer, you have more potential to remain up here in positive territory. That'd be very important. You notice every time we get a pop in volatility, right, we get this pop, we're able to wave it back up, but it doesn't come as high. We don't see that positivity really continue, and then it just starts to go negative. And then we see that pop up again. What do? We pop up, but we curl right back down into negative territory. You need that to really remain up there, what I would say. Now, one thing to remember at the end of this video here, TLT dropping off dramatically. So the SPY just pulling back a little bit, but also went higher yesterday, then pulled back. Can go a little bit higher, but I'm just telling you right now, TLT is telling you something completely different. These yields are going insane right now. Coming up, probably going to test this level of 4.362. This is very, very scary, especially if we head higher over the next few days. This is very, very scary because banks could start to really struggle, and we could go through some kind of banking crisis if these go higher. So that would be very, very bad. And I know I'm bouncing back to the VIX, but I just want to say this is a strong move. Look for rejection off the 200 here, right? Rejection off the 200 here. Or if we actually close above it, if we close above it, that's a huge sign that we're probably going to see a crash in the next, we're going to see some selling that might pull us back for now. We have to see if it's ultimately going to be a crash. Roll over some weeklies, roll over some monthlies over time. But for now, volatility going up, testing the 200 right on the dot pretty much. See if that fades off by end of day. We could come fill this gap down here at 13 before we actually want to see volatility come back in. Make sure to note some things to pay attention to. The GTC next week for NVIDIA, that's going to be very, very important. On the 18th it starts. And the 20th is going to be, that's right, the Fed rate decision. Okay, Fed rate decision going to be very important. If we are still bullish at this point, people are still thinking, oh, we're going to cut rates. This Fed rate decision might be a little bit more specific and say, hey, we're not going to cut rates until the end of the year. We're going to do one rate cut by the end of the year. That would actually cause some selling to come in. And then they could say, if they say that we're going to dramatically cut rates, then that might actually cause some bullishness. But we know that when they actually cut the rates, that's going to be very bad. I think they are going to keep the same tone and be very vague. Oh, we're going to be dependent on data. We don't feel we're in very good control of inflation, but it doesn't seem worrisome. So we think we're going to cut rates by some by the end of the year. If they stay that vague, it keeps us all in la-la land for a lot longer. But I just wanted to say, to leave off here, guys, right now the SPY just testing that 5-day. Watch all these signals, because if we just turn up on some of these charts, we could start to go higher. So no real bad news to tear us down. Remember, that's what I'm looking for. I see the divergences. I'm looking for real bad news to tear us down. Appreciate you guys coming by the live channel. Appreciate everyone, the new people on Patreon. If you're even just thinking about it, give it a try for a month. See how you like it. See if it helps out your trades to get those weekly expected moves and some trade setups throughout your week. And then if you really want to learn about these things, if you're a little bit new, or maybe you've been in it, but some of the stuff you're doing isn't working and you need a better understanding of these indicators and of these weekly ranges, and maybe even a trading strategy for a bear market, go check out my course. $100, 50% off for the entire month of March, because I believe by the end of March, we are going to be in some kind of more volatile market, and that's where that strategy will really help you out. So I just wanted to say I really appreciate you guys coming by. Born Gunners, how long before I received the email? I'm going to check on that before I take off. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. The other day in a video you said something about if the VIX is 10%. Okay, I'll get to that in a second, Philip. I'll email you back. I wanted to make sure. Born Gunners, you might have to email me about this. But either way, appreciate you guys coming by. I hope you guys have all the luck in the world with your trades today. I really, really do. Your boy here might need to go take a 30-minute power nap so that he can actually function for the rest of the day, because this baby's been keeping me pretty old. So I really appreciate you guys coming by. Appreciate you being here, Frank. Appreciate everyone that's taking the course, joining Patreon. Even if you're liking the video and you're just here every day, really, really appreciate you guys being here. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you later on YouTube for a video, for a YouTube video. Not the live again, just a YouTube video later tonight, all right? Talk to you later, guys. Peace out.